your government has abandoned you. They have ordered you to die, GI. Do not trust them. Defect, GI. They lie to you, GI. You know you cannot win this war. Your rich leaders grow richer while you die in the swamp, GI. They will give you a medal, GI, but only after you are dead. Your government lies to you every day, poor soldier. You have lost this war, GI. Your army will leave you behind. Imperialists made you fight this war, GI. They do not care about you. GI, your government has betrayed you. You will not return for you. GI, your airplanes bomb your own men. You are not safe here. The skies are dangerous, GI. They will napalm you tonight. Your pilots do not care that you are down here, GI. You cannot dig foxhole too high in, GI Joe. Your bombers will fire you. GI, your helicopters fall from the sky like broken birds. They cannot see from your airplanes, GI. They come to bomb you.
Defect GI by Hanoi Hannah with Smezier. Sup, Peter, and everybody else. Well, I think first things first, probably the first thing I'll talk about is the discourse on Twitter, because it's kind of actually, it's a little interesting to see how bold the system and its sycophants are. I'm actually kind of hoping that one of these two, like, some tech workers that I know jump in. I got Disgraced Liberal and Buckthorn. Oh, man. What is happening on Twitter? I don't really... That Thomas White stream was pretty good. Oh, I'm very glad I was on it. It wasn't, you know... It didn't live up to everybody's expectations. But it was, you know, shit's always not gonna go how you plan. But I'll talk about the stream a little bit, and then you and me, Liberal, we can talk about what we've both been reading on Twitter, because we were both talking about it. But yeah, with the Thomas White stream, I was not expecting I was going to be able to talk to Hell by the Dashboard Light and Dismal at the same time. That was pretty wild. Okay, because I just started listening to Hell by the Dashboard Light. Because every time I tried to listen to him, I always saw, like, you know, nothing was happening. But whenever he started clicking with me, then it's like, oh, now I'm talking to him. He's supposed to be hard to reach. And yeah, that was pretty cool. Yeah, and the callers, they were literally trolls. Like that one guy who was talking about being a tech worker and he was interning at a Fortune 500 company. He was literally lying about it. Like, he was literally lying. Like,
I could tell.
Based on what the actual people who have experience with, like, the tech sector and working in it were saying, yeah, he was just making shit up. There's no way to vet these people. You literally can just be at NEAT that is completely formless and useless, and you can just arbitrarily say that you're an engineer, And then whenever people were like asking him about it, he was just calling them losers. So yeah, he was lying about it. And that's why I don't entertain these retards. They're basically like, it's like I was trying to say this at the end of Thomas's streams. Also, welcome Wolf before I continue.
How you doing, Dags? I'm just Pizza Maxine.
That's good. I just ate chicken parmesan my dad made.
Nice.
But it's like what I was saying. They're like Turing bots. They're genuinely they're people that kind of learn how to talk like us and try to blend in. They're still like in the infantile state of developing a personality. So they will just mindlessly latch on to any means of expression, including like being gay or being contrarian to whatever we are. That's why that's why some of them are gay and double down on it. They become like prison gay. And
Voluntarily zesty.
yeah, like it gives them like this sense of distinction to distinguish themselves from the rest of us, to make themselves gay at any cost by like with like if you ground yourself in abstract philosophy and see that the mind is not inherently anything, you will see that not only are living beings willing to kill themselves, they are willing to adopt any identity or persona, any behavior just to distinguish themselves. It's like a core existential need to know that you exist by determining what you aren't, including distinguishing yourself from the rest of the group. That is literally what's going on. They're willing to do anything. They're willing to pretend to be normal people. They're willing to lie about being more social or more productive than they really are. They're willing to be prison gay or double down on gross fetishes. They're willing to do all of this, and all you can really do is you have to acknowledge that they're like in this infantile state where they can't develop a rudimentary ego sense of self. So you have to basically just you have to shut the door on them and push them away. Because I see the purpose. We all have to be like kind of stupid like that earlier on. It's kind of pathetic the older you are and you're still like that. But you have to just push them away and let them destroy themselves. They will just, if they don't have a superior person in their eyes to derive recognition from, they'll just destroy themselves or just start like devouring each other. This has been my approach to just communities over and over. It's like once I see people lashing out and being negative as their only means of expression, you basically just have to isolate them and then they'll start eating themselves. And you just have to accept it. It's like, this is a teenager. Like they're like 15 years away from learning anything substantial and developing like a real sense of self. They're still learning things like they religiously think that these rudimentary things that they do is really advanced, it's really novel, it's really marvelous. Like other people will be improved by it. So, for example, they'll religiously worship the idea of touching grass. These people don't actually go outside, and if they do, it's very superficial and forced. They don't actually enjoy going outside. What they enjoy is in their mind what they think other people are going to perceive of them. They think that doing this meaningless act will advance them in the social hierarchy. Whereas the rest of us, like me, I've gone outside, not for the approval of others, but because I wanted to, for my mental health, to see things, to diversify my day-to-day life. You know, I've actually been driving a car for over 10 years now, and I would use this car to go to pretty much every forest within at least a 500-mile radius. I've also left the state a few times. And I'm not impressed by you going outside. I understand you're a teenager, you're a child, and you're still developing a rudimentary sense of self. You think this is impressive, but you're barking up the wrong tree. Let me know when you've driven to every like state park, national forest within 500 miles at the very least, multiple times. Nobody's impressed. You're just revealing to me how little you know of the world. This wouldn't impress normies. Even like really stupid normies wouldn't care about this. Just very boring stuff. So yeah, that's why I don't. That's why I don't engage with retards because they're literally nothing. Some of them like a few of the retards, they call themselves individualists. They're not even individualists. They support corruption. They support Israel. They hate Thomas Massey. They hate Ron Paul. They're basically just saying they're an individualist to be contrarian to us, and they say they support Israel to be contrarian to us. And that's when you have to realize that ostracization isn't always a bad thing. That's why that's kind of like a problem with Thomas White is that he's too accepting to people. But what I would say to Thomas is that not all people are wrongfully ostracized. It is bad when it happens wrongfully, but some people are actually freaks that shouldn't be around others. Like, they deserve their ostracization. It's okay to push people away. We don't have to dilute the thought pool by letting in every retard. That's my approach. What were you going to say, Wolf?
Oh, I was about to say, well, first I was mentioning how people travel outside the state. Like, I was talking about this in my stream. I just ended a stream, like, just to get on this one. And I'm surprised, like, Night Monkey I was talking to, he never left California except to go to Las Vegas. And I'm like, wow. And I've been to, like, 10 different states. It's like, wow, I mean, I guess if he lives in Los Angeles, so he has everything accommodating to him. So, you know, I mean, it's not so much he doesn't really need to visit the world because the world visits him, or his area at least. But you know, I'm surprised with Chris. He's only been to a couple of states, and it's like, wow, it's like traveling really doesn't do all that much that people think they do. I was talking about women traveling overseas, and you know how they think it's like so great and it will change you. I don't think it does change you. It's like you're still wrapped in your own little world and your own problems. And okay, you went to a place that's like 5,000 miles away from where you live. So what? You know, you go to a beach. Do you feel any different? I mean, it's just like, okay, you're there. You're there for a weekend or a week or whatever, and then you go home. It's like, what do you gain out of it?
Nah, yeah, like,
And
traveling can help some people, but it doesn't matter if you're still in your head. Like, if all you're doing is traveling, for instance, because some people, that's literally their lives. It's like, it becomes the same as being on the computer. Like, I've always been around Europeans who were talking to me about traveling the world and visiting hostels. And yet, I'm the person that they want to talk to in all of their travels across Europe, Asia. They've been to all these places, and they keep, at the end of the day, they just want to talk to me. Like, they haven't found anybody else.
oh yeah. Also, I know I'm not shilling for Bash, but I just thought he was like mentioning he wants to be in a debate with you. I know you don't want to
No,
debate
because
him.
there's no debate to have. He's literally just a contrarian. He has no stances. He's defining himself opposite to us. He's just
It's
being
just like-
negative and introducing nothing.
The debate would just be attitudinal. It's sort of weird. It's like debating somebody who has a different preference in ice cream. It's like you're trying to debate somebody into enjoying your own preference of ice cream. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like,
Well, it would be more like somebody who only just tasted ice cream telling me how amazing and life-changing ice cream is.
That's how I thought about sex until I had it, and I was like, this is overrated as hell.
Like, only overgrown, like, genuine, emotionally stunted, arrested development man-children religiously
Like
laud
Cowboy.
going outside. You know, like,
Yeah.
compared to these, like, actual degenerates like Bash is like a dude that if you had a kid, he would approach your kid and show them the porn on his phone. Like, that's how much of a fraud he is. He will never blend into society. He derives no fulfillment from all of these things that claim to validate him. Like, that's why he's here, because there's nothing else for him. All he can
Another
do
thing
is
about-
distinct himself relative to us.
Another thing about like grass touching is that like there's not really like there's normies, but like normal people proper don't really exist anymore. Like people are insane. Everyone has like extreme opinions derived from the internet. Like everyone has like ideas they copied from their favorite influencers, and everyone's like has these radical opinions. Like there's no like apolitical like place to spend your time with a bunch of like well adjusted people anymore. Like
Yes, like Night Monkey said on my last stream, that antisocial is the new norm, which is true. They are insane and insecure. The atomization is taking its toll. Everybody's socially anxious, and they're being like confused by these various social engineering things on their phone. That's the most real thing in their lives. But even these people, if you walk up to them and start telling them how amazing it is to touch grass, they'll just look at you like you're a child.
well, you know what
Like,
annoys me is like, let's say you have like you go outside, you have 10 bad social interactions. It could be your own social skills that need work, but at a certain like, it's not like prima facie the case that just because you have a bunch of bad social experiences, that means it's because of your own poor social skills. Like people in general like are are not well adjusted now. It doesn't matter how much you improve your social skills. Like
these, yeah, like these losers in denial, these closet gays that are pretending to be productive members of society and stuff that surround us now, they don't even realize that, like, my bad social interactions is that I was allowed into normie groups. I was let in on the gossip. I got to listen to them spread horrible fucking rumors about each other. Like, they are just vicious, aimlessly. It's not. It's genuinely not cracked up to what they say it is. I think like the last actual party I was at with loud music and lights and stuff, they were talking about how our DJ was literally a rapist and everybody knew it, but they still hired him and they still like talked to him like normal.
dude, the people that pretend to be normal in these spheres are so dishonest. You know, like there was this guy that called down on the Thomas White show. He was saying that like, oh, my friend, he told me to debate you guys. Like
Yeah,
as if that guy definitely knows about everyone in these circles. He was just pretending to be like this dispassionate guy who just was a normal. He's normal and conventionally successful. He just happened to stumble upon this stream. Like, come on, man.
yeah,
Like,
and it literally he has no idea that because these are literally children, they can't even grasp the fact that I literally do talk to tech workers. Like one of them was calling out his bullshit right away. I am actually surrounded by fucking tech workers telling me how much it sucks. They talk about the
is a
reality.
disgraced liberal like a tech guy kind of?
A disgraced liberal, a few other guys. Yeah, like it's partly through them and some other people. They're the one. They're basically like my feet in the places I can't go, places I'm not allowed to go. They tell me what it's like.
Yeah, just have a career. Just have like a with that.
But yeah, no, you are right. I was talking about that. I was talking about that guy earlier. It's genuinely like a bunch of you know the Alan Turing test where you try to figure out if something's a bot or not.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, these people you find out they're like it's like you'll be talking to a guy who's talking about how amazing working is and how successful he is, and then you talk to him and push him, and then you find out he's a NEET and he was lying about everything.
People are all
He,
pretenders.
he was literally pretending. He was in this like animalistic immediate sense of self-expression where he was willing to adopt any persona just because of the euphoria of the rush to be validated by you in that conversation. Like that's how abstract it goes. People living things are willing to kill themselves. You think that since adopting a fake persona isn't that drastic, you think that they won't do that too just to feel real?
I swear to God, every person who debates black pillars, like they always pretend to be like to barely know anybody in these circles, to barely be acquainted with these ideas. They just happen to still stumble upon the Thomas White stream. Like it's so funny.
Yeah, it is funny, and I mean Thomas White invites it on himself. I guess it's content for him, but still, he's wrong about ostracization being bad. Like just because somebody's abnormal doesn't mean they're on your side. my approach to like these degenerates like is just rotate them so they're not looking at you anymore, and then let them go torture somebody else and get tortured. And that's pretty much their lot in life. Pretty much just disappear from their sight and allow them to torture and be tortured without involving you in it. That's my approach.
They're pretty sadistic people. Like,
yeah, and they deserve it. It's like there's a lot of people who are like problem causers where they're still like noble. I'd be like, I don't want this guy to like die or get tortured. And then these degenerates, they're like, the machine gun nest is that way. I hope you die.
exactly.
And that's my approach. That's why I don't care, because believe it or not, my life and my computer curation is very busy, and I have to control what I see, and I cannot afford meaninglessness in my site.
You're trying to write like several books. You don't have time to waste your time in like fruitless debates.
Yeah, and I also have books to read. I was following this one guy who is writing a thesis and not analyzing the phenomenology of spirit. He's been working on it for 2 years. I have to pay attention to people like that. I have to pay attention to people like Wolf, because I feel like maybe he doesn't like if I don't pay attention for a while, and I want to give my validation because everybody wants it. I need validation, and I'm a little bit spoiled by it at times. But there's people that like I got to pay attention to. There's this Oak guy in here. He's struggling. I don't know what to say to him, really. I throw an emoji at him to say, I read that, I see you. That's all I can do.
I never know what to say to oppressed people or suicidal people, because like I don't want to give the conventional blue pill advice, like it's gonna be okay. Like I can't do that. So what can you say?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if an 18-year-old asked me, what do I do? I'm poor and I have no connections. I'd be like, well, I guess join the army and lean into a tech career. That's all I can say, really. Other than that, like, it's all downhill.
Yeah, like fake a disability and get VA benefits or something. Like I don't know.
Yeah, like just try to milk the system or something. Yeah, join the army and whatever military, lean into tech. You want maybe you want an easier grunt life, but I would say, if you want to keep your job prospects open, then lean into more tech-oriented fields, because that's like what my dad did. He was in the Air Force, and he was able to just kind of exaggerate his experience with being an electrician for them. So then they basically just paid for him to be trained in 3 months, and then he became an electrician with an awesome job that doesn't exist anymore. So that's all I would say to people.
I would say for the next couple of decades at least, the medical industry is going to be more profitable than the tech industry. The tech industry is kind of overflooded with people, and there's always going to be old people that need medical attention as long as the boomers are still alive.
That is
part of the reason.
Yeah, that is true. That's why the medical industry is growing. That's why you probably all saw that study where there's more women in the workplace by what, a couple 100,000, and it's because of the medical industry. I think.
I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah, I felt like you were.
Yeah, once the old people die out and the population starts shrinking, that might collapse though. So I think the medical industry might only be really good for the next 10 to 20 years.
Like till 2040. I think that's when boomers will like end up dying off in mass.
Right. And after that point, the young people won't have any money to pay for medical expenses. So you can't expect the gravy train to keep going.
It's really hard to tell. It depends how much wealth transfer happens, which apparently, at best, I think only 2/3 of boomer wealth is going to millennials in any substantial capacity. And that's kind of what the medical industry is predicated on right now. They'll probably just resort to bailouts or something to not collapse.
My neighbors, they were like super old, and they had like had bad relationships with literally all their descendants, and they donated all their money to like a dog pound. They gave not a single penny to their descendants.
Yeah, it's really sad. But if you look at the way things are going with AI and tech, it seems like there's way more supply of labor than there is demand, and it's only going to get worse with AI replacing a lot of tech jobs or making them less meaningful to where only senior developers are going to be able to maintain employment. And I don't think that's the case with the medical field. The medical field, um, the credentialism can protect the doctors in their positions so that they can't be replaced by AIs. And then there's a lot of things that robots just can't do, like cleaning up shit out of a person's bedpan or sticking a needle in somebody's arm. It's going to be a long time until robots can handle that.
Plus, there's lawyers who could be easily automated away, but they're the ones who make the laws, so they're not going to allow that to happen.
Right. Lawyers are kind of redundant at this point, but they can protect themselves. Doctors can protect themselves legally so their jobs won't go away. So I think the tech industry is the most ripe for being rug pulled by AI.
What do you guys make of Elon Musk saying there's going to be universal, like, high-paying UBI, like, soon? What do you think of
No,
his?
no.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, we're also going to be on Mars 10 years ago.
yeah.
Well, I think with social media, it can kind of work as a UBI where as long as you're a good goy and you're saying the things that you're supposed to say on social media, they could have like slush funds and bot accounts artificially prop people up and give them social media income, even if they don't have a real audience, just as a way to seemingly keep people busy, but they're actually just getting UBI.
And that's more
I
or
think it's
less
very
what's happening.
plausible. Yeah.
Yeah, I see a lot of like big YouTubers that to me their content doesn't seem that great, and it's kind of surprising that they'll have like 50,000, 100,000 subs, and the views that they're getting, they should be able to make a living off of their content. And it doesn't really make sense that they have that much viewership. Like they're not doing anything special or interesting, and somehow they seemingly have enough attention to make a living out of it. So it seems to me like it's the same phenomenon with that's going on with OnlyFans, where there's slush funds and bot accounts just artificially propping people up. So it seems like that's how they're going to do the UBI, is give it to the people that are saying the right things or at least not saying the wrong things.
Well, have you noticed like these streamers have content that just seems to suck dick, and like it's hard to imagine how anybody can watch like Avicular or these other like IRL streamers because they're so degenerate and like so boring. Well, one thing that they do is that they pay third worlders in US dollars to spam their clips all over social media, so that artificially makes their content seem more authentically popular than it actually is. And so like that's why you see all these like clips of these degenerate streamers on like Twitter or whatever and other social media platforms because they're paying these third worlders US dollars to just spam their clips everywhere, and it's muddying the waters.
Yeah, who knows what's going on with that? But it's like, yeah, it doesn't really take any actual talent to ascend in the media sphere because it is just a matter of whoever's on stage just is famous, and they can't just put a mindless retard on there. They have Asmongold up on there. He's a retard, but because
He's a Zionist, yeah.
he's a hardcore Zionist. He just got banned from Twitch because he was saying we should be shooting women and children that cross the border because that's part of the greater agenda to desensitize people to killing kids, which is what Israel does. So that will be okay with
He's a Zog
Israel.
approved racist. He's a Zog approved racist, like you say. Like
Yeah, it's kosher racism. Because I want to control immigration, but I feel like we could do it as a sane society where we don't have to commit atrocities like that. I don't actually want to shoot a crying mother in the face while she's holding her child, like Zionists want to do.
That sounds pretty anti-Semitic to me.
Yeah, that's as long as you're pushed by Peter Thiel and them, you're gonna be the number one streamer. He also only got a slap on the wrist because they have to act like they're doing something about it, but it's Amazon and the U.S. government. They're fucking. They want that. They're like, oh, you see, he got punished. And maybe Asmongold will apologize. He's like, sorry, guys, I shouldn't have said that. And then next week, he'll be talking about killing children again.
Yeah, I think Twitch is very temporary bans for people who say extreme stuff. Like they ban you for like a couple weeks, and you just come back.
Yeah, unless you're an actual troublemaker. If you're an actual threat to the system, they will full on unperson your ass.
Yeah, if you're like a real like anti-Zionist, yeah, like.
Yeah. Maybe I'll
English.
I'll ask you. Say whatever you want the English first.
Oh, English. Yeah, I think you're. I don't know if they're paying people to do like they're paying people like a sort of like de facto UBI with social media already, but I definitely think there already is a bunch of bullshit jobs out there, as laid out in the book by what's his name?
Yeah, I think another book you're talking about. I don't remember his name, but it's called Bullshit Jobs, right?
Yeah, David Graeber. Yeah.
Yeah, I read one of Graeber's other books, like The History of Money or something. It was very long-winded, but basically it was all just to say money's fake.
Yeah, I think he was saying that money originated as like debt or something, but I didn't read the book.
Yeah, like the theory of money coming into being through barter, and then people just needing to trade. They needed something to make barter easier. He was saying that was completely false, and that was propaganda to like promote capitalism at some point in history.
Well, I think a lot of these 18th century philosophers, like Thomas Hobbes, for instance, they just like speculated about what primitive humans were like. They didn't actually do any research. They just stated that human nature is like this. Like
Yeah.
primitive, like they just said stuff without evidence. Not to be like an evidence bag, but like that's sort of what they.
Well, I am somewhat skeptical of treating different people groups as, well, this is what primitive humans are like, because we see it in the Congo or whatever. Like, here's some pygmies and this is the way they behave. Therefore, that's the way European people behaved, thousands of years ago. I just don't think that follows.
I don't like the concept of one universal human nature. There's human
Right.
natures plural.
Yeah, I think it would make more sense that there could be different kinds of primitive societies, and it's not like there was one primitive human society. So I'm skeptical of that, and it seems like Graeber comes from that perspective. So I take him with a grain of salt. But yeah, I would be interested in reading his Bullshit Jobs book. I do think there are a lot of make work jobs that are not real, and it's really just to keep people busy and to uplift certain minorities and certain demographics.
Yeah, I do kind of. There's a point where you have enough knowledge and wisdom that you can kind of intuit what people are like across space time, especially if you can, pick up the nuances of like biology and environment and geography and all that. But most people, you can't really trust them to intuit things. That's kind of that should only be respected for wizards. Only wizards should be able to speculate on what Chinese people are like without being to China.
Yeah, but I do think social media is, if it's not already, I think it's ripe for being one of these makeshift or make work jobs where people get paid to do nothing, basically, just to keep the economy going and reward certain demographics.
Agreed.
Yeah, possibly. Okay. So I said I was going to talk about this. Maybe you guys have you all seen the burrito debate on Twitter?
Yeah, I don't know what that's about. I saw a couple of streams on about like $20 burritos. What is that about? Can you explain?
So essentially, there was this one conservacock retard on Twitter who was saying that it doesn't matter Basically, I'm not reading it right now, but going off of memory, he was basically saying that it doesn't matter that grocery prices are rising, that costs are rising. You can just because you can make burritos for your family for $20, which is dubious, as people were pointing out to him. And people went into his history and they found out that he was bitching about affordability and the price of groceries whenever Biden was president. He was like, "Can we please just have not war, please, so that groceries can go back down?" And then now it's like, of course, with Trump being president, it's like, well, you're a bunch of babies. You don't know how to cook. I think the affordability crisis is a I don't know how to cook crisis, which is
You know what I've noticed? These people use the word agency a lot. You're just low agency if you complain about anything in society ever. You just like are low agency. You don't have any ability to independently like take action in the world. Like that's the new rhetoric.
it's yeah, and it's getting increasingly depraved because the system is predicated on atomization of isolating you, separating you from everything, your family, your possibilities, options. You get exploited because you have no other options and you're alone. You can't do collective bargaining with people. You're completely overwhelmed. And you're just isolated and you live in your own little internet induced world and everybody's going crazy.
I think
And
a lot of these.
yeah.
I was just gonna say, I think a lot of these economists are being paid by the state because like a lot of them like bring like fancy graphs and charts purporting to show that actually Americans are richer than ever and actually everything's more affordable than ever. Young people today are better off than they were 15 years ago, and it just seems like there's no way this is an organic like phenomenon.
Well, for at the very minimum, they're being paid by Elon Musk. Elon Musk basically selected all of them to be shills that are just getting paid for being there, saying whatever. They're just
Yeah, I can. Sorry, you go.
well, that was basically it.
Yeah, I was just going to expand on that. I originally thought about being an economist at first. So when I was researching how you get in that field, you essentially either become someone who works at a policy institute, a think tank, aka a paid propagandist, or you get paid to work at a bank and generate reports that JP Morgan will do whenever they want interest rates to change. So it's essentially just using basic statistics to be a propagandist. Like I brought it up how in two different ways, CNN could bring up a chart of consumer spending to show that the poorest Americans are pulling back, which creates a narrative that poor Americans are suffering. But then they could also bring up real GDP per capita when too much people are complaining about money going to Israel to be like, why are you complaining about the war in Iran? Look how rich we all are. And it'll be the exact same news station.
Yeah, economists are
Just join the
basically
Cato
just
Institute, like there's like a libertarian like shill like open board. They literally support open borders. The Cato Institute.
yeah, they are all a consequence of individualism. They're not really individualists because they support corruption, they support Israel, they support everything that's opportunistic to themselves and their masters, whereas Thomas Massey and Ron Paul have been fighting them forever and getting accused of being communists and lazy. That's another thing I want to mention before I forget is that Thomas Massey was chiming in, and Matt Walsh. Matt Walsh is a bad faith actor who's going to co-opt the whole discussion, but he was taking hits momentarily. Matt Walsh and Thomas Massey were both being accused of being losers for talking about it.
You can be like a libertarian and still, like you can't. You're not allowed to complain about prices for some reason. Like
You can be like an arc libertarian, like an arc libertarian that everybody else defers to, and normies will just turn on you and like call you a communist because you just point out corruption.
yeah, like why do you have to be like a communist to complain about burrito prices? Like you can be a libertarian and blame like Federal Reserve policy and like for inflation and like the state spending for the Iran war. Like it doesn't make any sense that you'd have to be like a commie to complain about food prices.
They don't even care because they support when Trump does price controls. He's trying to control the price of oil right now manually with the government power. And then, not to mention, making billions off of even just the wars from insider trading, from stealing oil from Venezuela. Like, they support all of that. The average... This is why I know I've been like ranting about individualists and stuff, and I'll like call somebody an individualist, but that's not really that's projecting way too much onto people. Because a lot of people, like in these spaces, they'll say they're an individualist just to be contrarian. It's like the one guy who was telling us that Elon Musk is a communist, that rich people are communists because they want to consolidate capital.
Dude,
Right?
Ayn Rand is too highbrow for these people. As much as I dislike Ayn Rand, she's too highbrow for these people.
Yeah, like in an ideal society, in the Mage Council, Thomas Massey and Ron Paul would be advisors integrated with a strong government, consulted on individual liberties and commerce and government efficiency. But in our world, in Hell World, they're called Nazis and commies. Ron Paul was called a Nazi and denied airtime so he couldn't speak to people. And that's why he lost. Thomas Massey, if you guys don't know, Thomas Massey lost the Kentucky primary, and he's going to be out of a job. He's going to be out of the House in January because boomers were watching AI-generated deepfakes funded with your tax dollars, where boomers thought that Thomas Massey was in a romantic relationship with AOC and Ilhan Omar at the same time, a three-way. Is this the world we want to live in? Is the status quo really? I know most people are. I know these people are contrarians and don't actually care. They don't care about evidence or empiricism. So, like, even if you push this to them, like they just support the status quo because we hate it, and that's why I don't talk to a lot of retards.
I think these people are kind of fucked when I think a lot of these Zionist types are kind of fucked when Trump like dies or whatever, because like JD Vance doesn't have nearly the same charisma or intelligence of Trump, and I think they're not going to have like a figure to rally around, and I don't think that JD Vance is going to win the presidency. And I think Zionism is kind of on the ropes because young people are very anti-Zionist, and like boomers are like the final like rapidly pro-Zionist generation, and once they finally die off, like Zionism has a very little support in the United States.
It's hard to say because Zionists are going into overdrive. I was browsing Reddit, and on Reddit, I can just openly say that with those migrants that went into Huerta in Spain, I was just openly saying, yeah, Israelis were bragging about funding the NGOs that put those migrants there. They brag about funding NGOs that flood Europe with migrants, and I got a bunch of upvotes, and then the mods removed the thread. So, like, it's really top-down damage control right now. They flood it with bots and retards, genuine retards, like all from r/Judaism, calling everybody Nazis. You know, same old. But the problem is that I wouldn't get too hopeful because the cattle are slaves to consensus, and wherever that goes, they will believe it. They believe Thomas Massey. They completely turned on him because they saw AI deepfakes of him. And because some people told them he was a communist.
Yeah, I was being too optimistic, perhaps.
Yeah, I think they're going to try to secure long-term contracts, which are actually doing. Like, I know Israeli-United States trades deal is going to end soon, and normally these are 10-year deals, but for some reason now they're trying to get it to be a 20-year deal. So I think they're just going to try to solidify whatever contracts they can with the United States that are long-term, and then reconsolidate and build a different narrative to heal themselves in the public optics going in the future, using that as like a buffer time period.
Yeah, I mean, probably.
I think recently there was a bill that just got defeated, luckily, that was trying to like integrate the United States and Israeli militaries. But I think it like narrowly got defeated.
No, I think it did go through. It did win.
Oh shit!
Let me look this.
You're making me doubt myself though. I was pretty sure it went through.
Well, I'm not. You might be paying closer attention to the news than I have been, so you could definitely be right.
I just recall that Thomas Massey was the only Republican who voted against it, along with like 40 Democrats. That was the big takeaway.
Yeah, it's currently stalled in the Senate, so they're trying to just revision it. it seems like the Republicans went for a very maximalist approach, and Democrats still want to pass it, but they are just public optics wise like, hey, can we tone it down a little so it doesn't look like we're completely giving Israel everything they want? So it seems like they're going to try to find a moderate version of the bill for public optics.
Or they'll obfuscate it, or they'll attach things to it to make it more likely to pass.
Yeah, like I think the direction it's going, based off what I'm reading from some news articles, very high level. It seems like the Republicans just wanted to give Israel everything, funding, money, blah blah blah. But the moderate version that is being worked on is most likely going to be offshoring, more or less, where we're going to have government contracts with Israeli tech firms, and we're going to offshore certain military tech, AI, and stuff like that. The big bread winning, the moneymaker stuff to Israeli companies rather than U.S. companies. So that would be our way of giving Israel money. Is they are providing us a quote unquote service that easily could be done in the United States, but we're just going offshore to Israel and give them their quote unquote bullshit job.
This does entirely work on consensus. It takes a very long time to condition even 20% of the population to become aware of something like how Israel gets money, and then all they have to do is change the method of how money is moved to them. Like if it's not just aid, or it's not just the usual channels, you just have to switch it to like to these natural seeming investments. You just divert like the oligopoly over to them.
Yeah,
I've noticed that.
Go. Sorry.
Hudson, go.
I've just noticed that like their anti-radical Islam rhetoric that worked like 20 years ago, like in the wake of 9/11, isn't really working anymore. Like the Zionists, they love to do this thing where they fearmonger about radical Islam, but like it doesn't have the same like power it used to have. Like nobody believes that Imam Dami is like a radical Islamic like.
Oh, it goes back to like the Obama is a Muslim sort of thing back in 2008 with the boomers. They've always been doing that.
Well, that's like
Slander.
a prime example of like a kosher approved racism. Like you're allowed to despise radical Islam, but like the Muslims that move to America, they don't really become radical like conservative Muslims. They sort of integrate into like black culture. They don't really.
It really, yeah. Well, it depends on the area. Because I was watching a documentary about Dearborn, Michigan, and I mean, I don't know what to say about it, but they made it look like it was a Islamic takeover of the United States, but it just was like a town of just wall-to-wall Muslims. Like there's a town of wall-to-wall Germans or Polish or tall, you know what I mean? It's just.
I'm definitely opposed to their immigration here. I just don't think that like the radical Islam fearmongering is done in good faith.
It is absolutely not.
It's not. No, it's like movies like what is that slop film that Vigilante Justice, or what is it called?
Yeah, Elon Musk slop,
yeah,
where a billionaire's going to save us from Muslims.
Yeah, that type of stuff. And I think the main character in it was Jewish, actually.
He's like half Jewish, I think.
Yeah,
of course, but yeah, I mean, you don't hear anything about the New Jersey town that's comprised of Orthodox Jews. They're slowly expanding and running everyone else out around them.
Yeah.
And like they don't propagandize against like Indians. They just propagandize against like radical Islam. But like radical Islam, like Muslims are pretty much the only people who are literally in like a team deathmatch with the Israelis. So that's like why, obviously.
Yeah, and of course I obviously think that what's happening in the Islamic world is not our problem, but you have to be wise to why these things are happening, because the way that Israel calculates this is it's circular like this, where they kill, oppress, bomb Middle Easterners, create refugees, depopulate the area, and they exacerbate this with NGOs, and they go into Europe, which destabilizes and punishes Europe in their eyes, and it also allows them to capitalize on the Islamophobia from the resulting culture clash, and then they prop up right-wingers that are anti-immigration but pro-Zionist and pro-Indian immigration. And then it comes back to justifying Israel more, to depopulate more Muslims from the Middle East, which goes to Europe, which justifies Israel depopulating more of the Middle East. This is how you have to be aware that things are happening.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
they're coming up with you talked about depopulating the Middle East. Is that the Greater Israel Project? I heard conspiracies about that, and it turned out that's actually true. That is actually their own version of I forgot what the Germans had with the expansion. Lebensraum. Well, except it's for Jews instead of Aryans, where they just plan on depopulating the whole Middle East and taking over those oil fields for themselves.
Jews are the only ones allowed to practice eugenics and National Socialism. You have to understand, we're not allowed to do it. And yeah, that is their plan. That's another thing that used to be a conspiracy theory. Many things used to be conspiracy theories, as I've talked about repeatedly. Like progressives and leftists over 20 years ago, they were fighting an uphill battle, raising awareness about Israel genociding Palestinians. They would be called Nazis, anti-Semites, and they would be deplatformed, pushed out of leftist liberal groups everywhere. And because of them working in joint, incidentally, with like white supremacists raising awareness about Jewish power, this overall changed consensus. So now you would have been called a conspiratard if you mentioned Greater Israel just 10 years ago. Now it's just a fact. Now it's just the norm.
Now, if you accuse them of committing genocide or attempting to attain Greater Israel, they'll just react to the Giga Chad image and be like, yes, like the Yes Chad image. Like they don't care anymore. It's like mask off.
Yes, and like I said today, I could just go on Reddit and be like, yeah, Jews are funding NGOs to flood Europe with migrants. And I get upvotes. I get hundreds of updudes for it. And then mods take down the thread.
Dude, like Reddit mods are literally like, I know like it's kind of cliche to complain about them, but like they seriously are the most petty tyrants on the planet. Like you'll get banned for like nothing on the vast majority of subreddits. Like I don't know how the people that manage to regularly post on Reddit, like how they adapt to that environment. I would want a rope. Like
no, they are an entirely different level of deranged. I might upload a section from my book talking about. I was comparing 4chan with Reddit, and basically my conclusion was that Redditors, where 4chaners have more doubt and self-awareness, like, what if I'm crazy? What if I'm wrong? What if I'm a loser? What if I'm obsessing about something, stupid? As deranged as 4chaners can be, of course. They are deranged and stupid. But Redditors are 100% confident in whatever they're doing. That Reddit mod is 100% confident that he has absolute power and is justified in everything that he does. And a lot of Redditors in general, like Redditors who've been building up their Reddit persona for a while, they feel like they have genuine power from it.
A good example of a Redditor is like one of the biggest, Ghislaine Maxwell. That's the kind of personality that being a Reddit mod attracts. Like she was one of the most like updated, like what's the thing, karma? She had like one of the most high karma.
Yeah, it's no shock. Like I've walked away from both of them. I'm like, I can now I've entirely explored and limited 4chan and Reddit and can compare them accurately. Like it's.
I don't like I prefer Twitter more than 4chan because I feel like 4chan, like a lot of times you just see porn there. Like
Twitter is fucking. I'm surprised I even still fuck with Twitter, but I do. I like Twitter in a way that I just like watching some just absolute brain rotting garbage because there's nothing but incredible shit on Twitter.
Well, there's a lot of annoying people on Twitter, but I feel like that's where most of the internet discourse is like generated, kind of. Even though there's a lot of awful people.
Oh yeah, there's some really just there's just some degenerates on there. That's all I can say.
I need to not use Twitter too much because the reason I've been banned from Twitter before, I started over. I start arguing with Jews a lot, and then I get banned.
Yeah, like now under Elon Twitter, you're allowed to be like racist, but just not like depends on the kind of racism.
It's
Like-
kosher approved racism. It's kosher racism.
Like-
they're fine.
When I see a Jew talking about how we have an obligation to like kill a bunch of civilians and take our money, it's like I have to step in and say something, and then I get banned.
Yeah, honestly, it's honestly kind of addicting. Like it can get to the point where like I'm more motivated to argue with people on Twitter than I am to like make money. Like there's something more compelling about internet arguments than.
Yeah, I mostly
Yeah,
just support dudes and then hit and run other dudes. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, just sniping.
And also, I kind of like I use it a little bit to like archive my stuff or use the image links to post somewhere else.
Yeah.
I deleted Twitter, but I feel like their algorithm is perfect for rage bait content curated for you. So, for example, in graduate school, I just spent the whole time arguing with Indians about the tech job market because for whatever reason I followed a bunch of just average, very smart tech people, white people in the United States. But then my algorithm shows me Indians talking about how they're the superior race taking over the tech world. I'm like, okay, what the hell is going on? So I feel like Twitter's algorithms just cater to get you to waste the most amount of time there arguing with people. I have a 12-page research paper to get ready for a symposium, and I'm up at 2 a.m. arguing with some Indian, or most likely a bot, but that was my Twitter experience before deleting it.
Yeah, if you don't want to compete with the like all like 1 billion people in India in the job market, then you're just some kind of like pussy who's afraid of competition. Like that's the idea. Like unless you want to like invite the whole world here to compete with you for a job, then you're a coward.
Oh yeah, it's either competing to be the best. So, for example, I may have said this before in comments. I don't think here. There's a meme where a redditor who doesn't want to sound racist would say, "What's up with all these graduate students walking around barefooted in the library?" By graduate student, they mean Indian. There was an article written by the New York Times called "The Death of the American Graduate Student," and most people in master's programs and PhD programs are Indians, and they aren't bright people. I remember Indians being master students being confused by things they learned by second year of college, and they just brute force their way through everything. And since they're paying way more in tuition compared to Americans, they just basically get a pass.
And the Trump administration wants to save these universities because like even though despite Trump all this like tough guy anti-China rhetoric, he said repeatedly he wants to invite 800,000 Chinese students to save like dying American universities in these random bumfuck places. So like it's weird how you like you're anti-China for national security reasons, but then you support these foreign immigrant students who are known to like steal trade secrets.
Well, in the liberal capitalist order as it is, in order to keep these universities open, you would have to improve the quality of life and get the overall the capitalist zeitgeist to improve working conditions and pay people more so that they can afford to go to these universities and feel like there is hope, like that they should do it. But, that's one of the reasons where we have mass immigration instead.
I just feel like the whole education system is weird and like outdated, to be honest.
Yeah,
It completely is. I could go on about it all day, but yeah, it's completely broken and a waste of your time.
Isn't it a weird coincidence that all these programs, like most of them are like 4 years? Like that's sort of a weird coincidence. It seems like it doesn't like you'd expect these programs to have like varying lengths that it takes to like complete them, but no, it's like most of them are like 4 years. Like I don't know.
Yeah, it's all just to like they add a buffer with the general ed requirements just to keep you there and integrate you, and then the general ed is always going to be some sort of propaganda. So, for example, my first year, my so-called writing class, which every freshman had to take, was centered around climate justice and racism. So everyone had to learn about rich billionaire Republicans are making black people suffer because of climate change and food deserts, blah blah blah. And I had to write essays about that. So first they've bloated up with general ed propaganda, and then second, everything to standardize, even if it kills, doesn't get the most out of it. It's just standardized to be to a 4-year program outside of very few engineering majors
You know what?
that are 5 years.
You know what funny cliche thing people say is that they say, "Oh, education is just meant to train you to be a good wage slave." It's like they're doing a bad job because they're not giving us the proper like marketable skills to attain a job upon graduating. Like they're not even good at their like propagandistic like reason for existing. Like they're not even good at like training you to be a good wage slave because these wage cages don't even want you once you graduate. Like, isn't like post grad employment like really low? Like,
Yeah, it's one of the lowest in years. You know what's funny? I had a writing teacher or professor, I guess, go on a rant about that. She's like, college isn't a training program. People who go to college become more educated because they see different perspectives, and in the workplace, they're able to be better thinkers because they spent the time learning about the classics and writing and philosophy, and it makes them better thinkers and more well-rounded individuals. So that's their cope. That's their narrative. We all know that isn't the case. Like, for example, for my general ed classes, I didn't even show up. I just took the test and left. My general ed classes, I only went the first day of class, and that's it. I never even saw my professors. But
yeah,
yeah,
like
I'm supposed to be well-rounded.
I'm not opposed to like liberal arts, like studying like literature or history. I'm not opposed to that, but you can't force somebody to be interested in that stuff. Someone's either intrinsically interested in it or they're not. Like you're not going to make somebody a more well-rounded person if you force them to read Shakespeare. Like remember in high school, like the popcorn reading, they did like everyone read a page of like the book you're reading in English class, and half the people could barely even read it at my school at least. And like it's just obviously the case that forcing people to read Shakespeare is not going to cultivate intellectual curiosity.
No, I I did sign up for college classes in high school because I wanted it, and that did teach me a few things. But I was naturally curious. It wouldn't teach the people in the normal classes that shit, and I would actually say we should. When I was when I was applying to go into community college, they tacked on so many other classes that I would be paying for, and I thought it was fucking retarded. Like I had to not only I wasn't like it's like a shitty community college in this area. Wasn't a big university, so I wasn't signed up for liberal arts, but it was like a bunch of they were signing me up for like English classes and math classes and shit. And it's shit that I would have to be paying for that would take up more of my time and is fucking useless. It's literally a class for retards. And honestly, they say that like engineers they need to know philosophy or else they're going to become monsters. That doesn't help. It does nothing for them because the philosophy classes aren't teaching them shit. Because you might as well just not teach them. There should be some sort of like monolithic philosophy 101 that teaches you about being and nothing and abstraction for like 6 months, and people only have to learn that one time, and you either get it or you don't. There's nothing
Either
more
you
to
have
really.
passion or you don't. Like you can't force somebody to be passionate.
Yeah, you know what's very funny about that? These 101 classes weren't always so useless. So I remember I was bored. I was watching an MIT Computer Science 101 lecture from the 80s, and they were covering stuff that I was barely learning my third year. They were that well ahead because you were just expected to be interested in computer science and just have learned some of it before you head into it back in the 80s. And I could go on another tangent about how they're dumbing down requirements to bring in more women. At my old university, they got rid of Calculus 2 and a physics class as a requirement for computer science. And they explicitly said they're making it. They also dumbed down the Computer Science 101 classes my first year under the goal of bringing in more women into the computer science program and more people from disadvantaged groups. So they're culling the curriculums just for this quest of diversity. And then they made us take this engineering ethics class where I had to write about gay people in computer science and women. Of course, we weren't allowed to write about Alan Turing. He's like, everyone wants to be write about Alan Turing. Go find a different gay guy to talk about. And I had to write about Gamergate. Like one example, I had to
Oh my
make a
God.
video game 2048. Then I had a writing portion called the humanities portion, and I had to write about Gamergate and how and blah blah blah. So point is, it almost connects to what Dashboard was talking about on Thomas White's stream, where universities aren't a place for men to feel welcomed. If I'm in my first year computer science class and they're dumbing down my interest just so there'd be more women who think they're going to get in and get a TikTok job where they could be on TikTok all day and get munchies from the Google cafeteria, how would I fit in there when I actually care about the science and they don't, and they're making it so they're inviting them in by culling the curriculum and lowering the barrier of entry. It's sad.
Well, yeah, it seemed like computer science used to just be composed of like nerdy guys who had intrinsic passion for computer science, but now like the normies conceive of it as just as this high salary career. They flooded the market.
Or
And
yeah,
now
like
it's oversaturated.
John Carmack coming out of Berkeley or dudes coming out of the U.S. Navy and building the fucking internet.
Oh, yeah, I already brought it up. Like in my first year class, it was like 35-40% women. Just there is a lot of women heading into that field, hoping just to become web developers at Google so they could make a day in my life TikTok where they're eating or getting all the free energy drinks they want. It's depressing, and that's probably going to happen. I don't know what the next field that will happen to, but it's going to be a cycle, at least in the United States.
Yeah, and that whole field is fucking automated away. That's a complete dead end for them too.
Oh yeah, if you suck, you're getting automated.
I know like entry level people are having a really hard time because I know like senior level people can do the work of a lot of entry level people with AI. They don't need like to recruit a bunch of like new post grads.
Oh yeah, they didn't need to do it in 2021 through 2022 when they're doing that boom. They were just doing it to get grant money from the US government when they're hiring a bunch, when all the tech companies were having hiring booms just to inflate their stock evaluations. But yeah, they didn't need it then, and now they need less people around now. And now we just have excess surplus of computer science graduates. Well,
Yeah, like
I'm kind of included there, but
I
yeah.
swear, like not just computer science, but like ever since like 2023, it's been really hard to get like a job because like I guess inflation rates are really low, and there was like a brief COVID over hiring boom for not just computer science, but like almost every white collar job. And like since 2023, that's basically um ever since then, it's been like super hard for people to get like white collar jobs.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I feel like this is something kind of it adds on to it, where with the push of HR departments and getting more women employed in hiring, they decided to just throw a lot of hoops, but with like bogus job requirements. Like for example, one women HR person for a tech company wrote, "You need 10 years of experience with Claude Code to get this job." Like it shows you how much they know about this world. But to continue that point, these hiring rounds, for example, I'm currently interviewing at a company. I did my first interview July 2nd, and I have my fifth interview next week. It's just keeping women employed and HR employed by dragging out these processes so they could have this BS work to do and resumes to throw in the trash so they could get ready for their TikTok lunch break about being a Gen Z boss and a mini and so on. But point is, they're pushing women into these positions of hiring and authority, and it's clearly adding on and making it more of a hellscape for white collar workers.
Wait, this is your fifth interview for the same job?
Yes, for the same company, and it's
Oh my
scheduled to be
God.
an hour and a half. So yeah, that's
the
gonna be fun
hell?
on site. So I'm gonna put on my good old white collared shirt, a tie, do my hair, drive an hour, and do an on-site interview. So that's gonna
Dude,
be
I have
fun.
PTSD from my job search. Like, it took me like 7 months to find a job. Like, dude, like I don't know, like, really, like, you have to upload your resume twice on the vast majority of websites. You upload the PDF or Word file, then you have to, like, manually type everything in on that
A work
evil Workday
day.
website.
And then the majority of it was scamming, and the recruiter gives your information away to Indians who harass you.
Yeah, there's a bunch of fake listings, of course.
Oh yeah, no, tell me about it. I've been job hunting basically this entire year. I'm currently employed, but it's not steady employment. It's just a contract work, equity only, so I'm not even getting paid. But I don't have that dreaded job gap, and I just lie and say I'm a full-time employee at this
You have
company.
to lie, like, everyone else
Yeah,
is lying, so you have to lie to have a
Well,
competitive edge.
I'll fucking lie about working on a bunch of projects and making money and shit.
yeah,
They're not gonna
no.
check.
Yeah, what I have to lie is about the programming language, but because they're so pedantic, they don't care if you know how to program. They really care about the specific language. And then the company I work with uses a very niche tech stack that there's no jobs for. So I just look up most common. I'm like, okay, so instead of doing Go, I'm doing Java and so on. But yeah, I've probably done about 18 interviews at 12 different companies so far this year. And I just got another interview offer today, or not interview offer. They gave me an hour test to do within the next 7 days, and if I pass that test, I get an interview.
Oh, good luck. You're staying strong. I would have been, like, dejected by then.
Oh no, I'm just in a bad mood all the time. I like my family doesn't even like talking to me because I'm moody. My mom's like, "Oh, I'm praying for you." Then I tell it's disrespectful of me. I should keep my mouth shut, but I'm like, "Oh, I'm not sure if God is hearing your prayers." I shouldn't be saying that, but I'm always in a grumpy
No,
mood due to
I mean
the job search.
it sounds like you have a right to be pissed off, like, because it's just like a token, superficial. What's the word? Condolence to you. Like, it doesn't mean anything. They don't really. Does it? Do they care really? Or are you someone else with shitty parents?
Uh, I mean, they would want me to have one so they don't say they have a kid who's unemployed. I don't really live with them or interact with them. I live pretty far away from them. They just keep asking, "How's that job search? You get it soon. Don't worry. You got good grades. You'll get it soon. It'll happen. It'll just wait. Wait on God's timing."
Yeah,
So
being a
yeah,
good
that's
The,
person doesn't work anymore. Like, the classic boomer definition of a good person is somebody who, like, works hard, gets good grade, is thrifty, doesn't spend too much. Like, to boomers, like, that means you're a good person and you're destined to easily get a job. But it's just not the case at all.
Oh yeah, it doesn't matter. Like people are like, "Oh, what's your GPA? I bet you were lazy." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I had a 3.91 in undergrad and a 4.0 in graduate school." And I'm like, "Oh, how many times are you applying?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm probably applying to about 200 roles a week." And they'll just keep going on and on. "Oh, did you do internships?" I'm like, "Yes, I did 2 internships." And I'm like, "Oh, blah blah blah." It's a moving goalpost, and that's why when I talk to certain people in these spaces, they end up just saying I'm lazy or I'm entitled or I should just become a plumber. So I don't even like talk about my job search because it's ever
Yeah.
productive talk about the actual systemic problems. It's just going to end
Basically,
up being I'm entitled. I need to become a plumber.
just
Sorry,
become a
you go.
manager at Panda Express. That's
the,
what people.
the
Who said
trades.
that?
That was like a discourse on Twitter like a year ago. Like, because they're saying, like, oh, a
Oh, I
manager at
saw
Panda
that.
Express. Yeah,
I remember now.
they're like, you can make $100K.
Yeah, I remember that vaguely. Yeah, the trades are oversaturated too. They're actively oversaturated. They're doing the same thing with trying to push everybody into computer work like they did for the last 20 years. Now they're pushing everybody into the trades, which are already oversaturated. You're going to be the abused, underpaid slave to some retard that smokes meth. You're going to be experiencing how unions are corrupt fucking cartels that use their government provided leverage to control the market while
Honestly,
asserting
like,
that they just pulled up their bootstraps.
I'd rather work around like HR women than like rough around the edges, drug addict, criminal
insecure,
guys.
hate the fact that they are tradies or box stackers or construction
I'd rather
workers.
work with women than them.
Because
Yeah,
they,
no,
they
I
are
totally agree.
they are resentful. They are I'm surrounded by them. This is a big reason I don't go outside. It's like they genuinely are so resentful and bitter that they live in or around their hometown, have a shitty job. They don't have a cool tech job like the people in the sitcoms they watch. They don't live in Tokyo like in the animes they watch. So they take it out on each other. They take I could for a long time, for a couple of years, I could just sit in on any group and watch them eviscerate each other.
Yeah.
I could just sit down and watch them tear each other apart every fucking day.
If you're like a quiet guy, you're gonna be bullied if you like enter these trades.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. They're just like, "Hey son, are you a loner? Why don't you like talking? Come on, talk about the Packers with us."
We'll talk about our sex life in the game or whatever. Like,
Oh god.
I was just thinking about the image of the fat weeaboo going to Japan with his body pillow and fedora, and all the Japanese people looking at his shadow like in shock.
dude, people exaggerate the wages that these trade people are gonna make. Like most welders make like $20 an hour, but it's like
Yeah.
the narrative is that like you're gonna make $100K being a welder.
Oh yeah,
Everybody's a business owner in the trades.
yeah. Plumbers make more than doctors, they say, and that's a bunch of boomer
That's
lines.
bullshit. I watched these dudes get shot down trying to start fights with doctors, saying trying to. They literally get paid like $80,000 a year, and they try to start a fight with like an actual doctor, a big shot at like a big hospital.
That makes $250,000 a year.
Yeah, and who's actively fulfilled, lived a hard life got through medical school, has countless people depending on him, and then he has Rusty the plumber who smokes meth. Rusty the plumber who makes so much money that he still has to sell meth and crack on the side, starting a fight with a doctor.
Hey, don't you know, son? Without us real men who work with our hands, this country wouldn't be going. You kids, you women, you guys don't help at all. Like, they just say stuff like that they keep the country operating, and without them, society will collapse.
Yeah, the infrastructure would collapse if we weren't here. Like, I mean, when I look outside of the infrastructure, like, it's nothing. I don't know. Like, it's the quality of it is debatable. Like, there's always potholes in the roads. Like, the buildings aren't pretty. Like,
Yeah, I heard a mechanic say something like that. Like, if I'm not around to fix your cars, you wouldn't be able to go to your job. Society would suck. I'm like, what do mechanics do? Like, overcharge a single mom for oil change? Isn't that what 90% of your job is? Like, shut the fuck up.
I don't want to have to drive in the first place. Driving is kind of a scam in of itself.
Well,
It's not a
agree.
scam, but like,
what I said on Thomas's stream is
It
the
is a
point.
scam.
The point of an oversaturated labor market is so it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter if you die, if you show up. It will make no impact on the world. There is always a gross excess of people doing these jobs. It doesn't matter if the mechanic doesn't show up.
I got sick this morning, Dax, and I decided to call off work because I was just so fucking, I just had such a fucking headache. And I left a voicemail to my boss. She hasn't gotten back to me, which means I guess she took the message. I'm not sure if I'm going to get in trouble at work, but at this point, I'm there at pretty much every fucking day. And I've worked there for a year. It's just like, I hope, I called off before a few months ago, but, it's just fucking tough. And and I felt guilty. I felt guilty for doing it, but at the same time, it's just sort of like,
they condition you.
Why
to
am
feel
I
that.
feeling guilty? Why am I? Because they condition me to feel guilty because I have to be at this work, and I know people who never skipped a day at work, and it's like, why?
They condition you to feel guilt. They condition you to, as exploited as you are, to like feel like you have too much, no matter how little you have, and that that thing you're feeling is that's what almost every bottom tier wage cuck is feeling. At every time I check in at UPS or any box factory, FedEx, Amazon, no matter how hard you work, you are constantly terrified you're going to lose your job.
Yeah.
It never stops, never goes away.
Well, dude, like the more conscientious you are, the more you're going to be punished and tasked out to do more things because you're seen as being more responsible. So they're going to depend on you more. If somebody's a piece of shit from the get go, they're not going to. They can't be like the employers can't be disappointed in them, and the employers aren't going to expect them to pick up the slack. They're not going to assign them a bunch of random tasks. Like Dismal was saying, they take advantage of this. Dismal was saying that he's like a genetically predisposed to be like super conscientious, and he always wants to do. He's kind of a perfectionist when it comes to work. Well, they'll take advantage of that personality type, and they'll put more and more responsibility upon you, and your life will get worse for being like a high quality like worker.
You're the sucker. You're what salesmen call a sucker if you still have hope and believe that there's like pride to be had and work ethic and perfection and like somebody did this thing for me and I should probably return the favor. You're a sucker. You're a dope that still thinks we live in a functional society. Everybody's draining you and milking you.
If there's legitimately no room for upward mobility or advancement within your job's dead end. Just be a piece of shit from the get go. Like, just don't be a complete piece of shit to the point where you get fired, but like, just slack off to a solid degree so you don't get like a bunch of responsibilities added to your workload.
Because I share that personality trait. I am pretty contractual how I frame it. If somebody does something for me, I feel like a spiritual calling to repay the favor. I can't in good conscience keep accepting like so much from people. Like I feel if somebody sends me money, I feel immense guilt from it, and I treat the money as sacred. I don't use it on stupid things. I'm like this is going to bills or something that keeps me actually alive. And I'm going to drink water. And if you take that outside to normies in the labor market, you're a sucker, because that's exploited.
Yes.
It's a bag holder society where it's all predicated on a bunch of liars at the top, still trying to be the next ones to sell everything, cash out, jump, and then they're trying to make all the retards on the bottom. There's the retards that are trying to get to the bag holders so they can start holding the bag. They're gonna get robbed. And then they're kicking down on the guys who don't even realize it's happening. Dudes, they're like talking about honor and working hard and shit. It's like you're the retard, you're the sucker. There is no honor here. This is a hellscape.
Eschenfelder says Mike Rowe was sold to white men as to what to aspire to through dirty jobs. But in reality, he was just a homosexual Jewish Broadway actor from New York.
True. Also saw further up, he said that his dad was lying about making $90K a year and he was making like $37K or something. He was being a plumber or something. Yeah, that's very typical. Normies are overcompensating so fucking hard all the time. If people can lie, they will. There's no honor. There's no care. All that matters is that immediate moment of social validation. If they can make themselves appear larger, they will. They don't care what it takes. They do not give a shit.
That's what my father did with me. He was a truck driver who tried to say he was making like 78K a year. Of course, I was like 8 years old, and I didn't understand that we were receiving Medicaid and food stamps, and like, but putting it together now, I'm like, wait a second, something doesn't match up to here. And he tried to tell me he was like this bigwig in the Air Force, but one day he got drunk and told me he got dishonorably discharged from the Air Force because he was selling weed to people on his military base. Yeah, he was like peak normie trying to puff up his chest.
Honestly, strange that my dad never really... For the things that I've complained about on stream, my dad's never really been a bad person. He's actually helped a lot of people and didn't really exaggerate about the things that he's done. But sometimes I wonder because some of his claims are pretty insane, but they are still plausible. Strangely, he never. He kind of he would tell me all the time he would give money to people and they would all like keep lying to him and take more from him and betray him later. Like my mom fucked him over and he was already paying child support and I forget how she like stole more money from him.
Yeah, I think lending money to people is a bad idea in general.
Yeah, my dad was kind of a dope. He did think we live in an honorable. He actually was like having bar fights over honor and shit.
Was he like religious? Was he like a Christian?
No. I mean, he was a conspiratard, so he's like, we're in a fight against the New World Order and the Jews, and we gotta stand our ground. And so he would frame things like that. So he had like a higher calling.
Kind of based having a conspiratard dad. Like, did he like watch Alex? Even though like a lot of conspiratard.
My dad was always 10 years behind me, which was aggravating, but it gave him more. It didn't give him virtue. He already had the need for virtue, which he filled with conspiratard shit and Alex Jones.
Yeah.
But yeah, everybody else is. It's so. I'm only bringing this up because it's so uncommon. Because this, like almost everybody who comes into here, all of their parents are fucking terrible and.
Mine were actually good as well, to be honest. Like my parents were not bad.
My parents were very good in some ways, but very bad in ways that I think mattered.
You grew up in poverty, right, Dags?
Not necessarily. I had like thousands of video games and I had materials and stuff, but I didn't have guidance or anything. So I was raised on the internet and had to learn everything myself for a very long time, which is not good. That really fucks you up. I mean, that fucks you up not mentally, like in your surroundings. All the shit that you had to do to learn from it. Dismal says Cowboy lies and is wrong about everything because we're talking about truck drivers. Yeah. I would trust Dismal since he more recently was a truck driver. And it seems like...
Come on.
Seems like Cowboy is doing everything in his power to be in need and avoid working.
Yeah, he's a bit of a hypocrite.
Well, they all kind of are. Cowboy is little. He's a brick. It's like talking to a wall, but that's more static than the formless contrarian retards we often talk to.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like his attempt. What would a boomer call rage baiting? I heard him purposely tell Jackknife, I told you blah blah blah, just so I could elicit a strong emotional response from you and get a kick out of you. It feels like that's just a lot of what he says, like from my interactions with him.
It's a lot of
tried to imply that I was a weak man. Sorry,
it's a lot of canned dialogue. Like he doesn't really know what he doesn't really know what the outcome is going to be. He just has all these canned dialogue lines that it's basically his brain works like I'm just going to say A to then B to then C at you. And he doesn't really know what's going to happen. He just keeps following like I'm going to go A then B then C at you. And that's why I hate talking to him and people like that. He's just like he's static. He's concrete. That's why I would lash out and scream at him and threaten him to like try to change him and make him more fluid. Like by making him experience something he never experiences.
Yeah, as a result, you scared Cowboy off, and he's like afraid of you. Like I don't think he ever wants. Like he refuses to be on any stream you're on.
Well, I mean, good. That's kind of the effect I wanted to have. I wanted him to remember something because he never remembered anything from any conversation. So that's literally the effect that I wanted to have. This is how I think going into conversations is I deduce that having a normal conversation with him doesn't work, so I'm going to like scar and traumatize him into remembering something new. But like I said, I believe because the degenerates have been pulling him in to talk to them, and Cowboy is an idiot and doesn't know why being gay is wrong, but he does believe being gay is wrong, and I don't believe that the prison gay incels would be able to convert him. So he has that virtue going for him.
Yeah, Collective is right. Cowboy would be the one who would like go on and on about a book or a film, and then if you ask him if he's seen or read it, he absolutely just say
No, absolutely. Because like Dismal pointed out, Cowboy. I don't want to make this about Cowboy, but Cowboy would recommend this manifesto that's 15 pages about MGTOW, and he never read it himself. So I will admit I have not read a lot of Hegel, and in my defense, Hegel has like 8 books that are 500 pages each and are extremely dense. That
honestly,
it's mentally exhausting reading it.
I'm a better MGTOW than MGTOW Cowboy because he's like has a girlfriend, like a prostitute girlfriend, and he might have a kid with her. I feel like it's violating the MGTOW like set of rules. Like, shouldn't you like avoid all relations with women if you're like a real MGTOW?
Yeah, and the kid's not. His girlfriend is pregnant by another man's child. That's the weird part.
Yeah, we've talked about MGTOW plenty of times. I only hate him because he speaks literally he unwittingly, mindlessly regurgitates the speech of the beast, saying things are bad because you just didn't pull up your bootstraps. And then if you push him about Israel, he's like, oh yeah, I support Israel. And then he worships the GDP and shit. And it's like, yeah, okay, what? I can't even really be threatened by it anymore because I acknowledge that like he doesn't really know what he's doing. He's just like a mindless dumbass.
If you're not competitive in the free market, then you're like, you lost fair and square, basically.
Well, he's just so off. Like I asked him, like, 2 guys of equal skill, only one can get the job. They flip a coin, and whoever gets heads gets the job. And he says, well, the guy who got tails is obviously inferior. It's like, what do you say to that?
Yeah,
I can't even take that seriously anymore. But still, he has more definition than the formless, contrarian degenerates that wander in these spaces. So I'll give him that. He's static.
Need to get into Brandon's Hegel.
Wait, what?
Dismal saying you need to get into Brandon's Hegel. Brandon's this like philosopher.
Yeah, I guess. I started listening to AW a bit. I still recommend AW for Hegel on YouTube.
I guess this Brandon guy, he looks at Hegel through a pragmatist lens, but
yeah, like that. That's how I look at it. The thing with me is that I'm not very motivated to get further into Hegel than I have. What I've learned, I've heavily benefited from it. It completely changed my thinking, what I do know about it.
Yeah.
But
even Hegelian language, like it sort of like puzzles me. Even though like the language, like the the arguments aside, even though like the language he uses, like being and nothing, like I even have trouble with the most basic like language he utilizes.
It starts getting really convoluted later on, and it is meaningful. He genuinely is he was trying to map out the mind and like thought without space time, without the brain, like just pure thought, and that is amazing. I don't deny that. I would possibly recommend to you to listen to that video I uploaded where I was reading from my book about life and death.
Okay,
because that's kind of like the takeaway from it is that to give people that's literally what my book is I try to explain what abstraction is to people for like hundreds of pages, and then I start talking about why wizards should rule the world as a conclusion.
Okay, just bookmark to that. I'll watch it later on.
And the point is that we typically associate being with life, and death with nothing. But actually, the reason people kill themselves is because there's being in death, and life is nothing. Right? Like, including not just killing yourself to escape pain, killing yourself to sacrifice yourself for a cause, to save your loved ones, whatever, where your life continuing would actually cause you more pain that you would rather be dead. And the reason that can happen is because life ignorantly wanders into this. We have these like biological conditions that guide our behavior because we're in a state of formlessness. We emerge from nothing, and the brain helps mold the mind to behave in such a way. It makes determinations like, oh, I'm getting dopamine. This is realizing me. I am becoming more actual. I am developing an existential model based on what is giving me dopamine compared to what is inducing, pain stimuli. And that is the relationship of the abstract, of thought and the abstract mind with the material world. And as I've said, people will want to eventually die. Like, even if life just becomes boring, where it's like, well, this is basically nothing, so why I might as well be dead, because that would be nothing with less steps. And the reason that can happen is because we fundamentally are based on being and nothing at the beginning of all thought. And then being and nothing become. Being decides that it is as opposed to is not. And through that union, being incorporates nothing. It becomes, and then it can start to develop like reality and negation. It starts to measure things based on like comparing like this you determine things exist by what they aren't. And you basically start to develop this whole existential model by what things are not. And you're constantly referencing yourself, developing self-knowledge of the world, because you're also going like, I am like this in some ways, but I am not like this in some ways. It's like, I am here and the tree is over there. And that's how you develop an existential model. That is the takeaway from Hegel. If you could comprehend that, you're good. If you can conceive of what nothing is, even beyond Hegel, just nothing, even like what Buddhists are trying to communicate to you, like, can you conceive of nothing, and you're good. You're better than most people.
Yeah, I'll need to hit the books for sure.
Me too.
I'm
Same for me. I was able to map some of that out with the conversation we had like 3 weeks ago with in a computer way, funny enough. But yeah, I'll have to read the books.
Well, I guess I would say read Phenomenology of Spirit, but I could recommend the AW guy on YouTube. Hegel is, again, hard to read, as I always say. And I'm extremely lazy. If you commit to it, you will surpass me, probably, in knowledge of it. You'll be able to do word kung fu at me, where I won't know what you're talking about. But, like, I basically, like, I lost motivation because it's like, okay, I kind of get the gist of all of this. Which the only thing that suffers is that I won't be able to explain it very well to other people unless I read more about it.
Right.
That's the only consequence. That's basically like the only thing that pushes you farther is you need to learn the particularities of things so you can mentor other people or know when other people are lying so you can call them out. But if you don't care about that, then there's no reason to really care about it. Yeah, I mean that. I need to re-upload the fucking video. I had to fix something, but the video about the brain. It was just like the essay I wrote where I was explaining how the mind is not just the brain. We're not just the psychology, the neural pathways, the chemistry.
You're not just like a eliminative materialist or a physical reductionist when it comes to the brain. I see.
Because it's like with the Hegelian model, duality is not really that simple. It's not, because I was listening to a discussion where people were asking, does Hegel believe in God? It's like, I mean, yes and no at the same time, because Hegel believes There's like the spirit is unfolding into God, which is like a process of knowing itself, and God is omnipotent and everywhere. He's not somewhere else. He's not like a personality really, but God is like a real thing. The spirit is this like divine force that is unfolding. So it's like, I mean, yeah, no. So it's like that's actually what I like about it is that keeps it kind of enticing, is because there's no easy answers.
As to whether Hegel believed in God, you're
Not
saying.
yeah, and not even because it's vague, but because it's literally like it's not even just Hegel. Like this is Mahayana Buddhism and Hermeticism. Everything is connected. Duality is an illusion. The mind isn't inherently anything. Yada yada.
I definitely agree that there's no self. I that's one like Buddhistic position that I hold. I don't know if I agree with everything Buddhism has to say, but I do agree with the no self concept.
The self is yes. I was looking into Hume a little bit because I saw Dismal talking about it. I saw AW server; they were talking about him. Hume was talking about how the self is like this constantly transforming sum of perspectives in like a moment. It's not this definite thing.
Yeah, like you don't have this like persistent, like eternal like. You're not like you don't have a unified, persistent, eternal like subject of experience. Like there's constant like alteration, and there's no one thing you can point to which unifies your subjective experience.
Yeah, pretty much. Like we're not innately the brain. We're not innately the need for sex, the need for violence, the need for socialization. Because at least like we have a need for recognition that Hegel says, where we can derive recognition from the world in general. But when we recognize another consciousness, this allows us to better develop an ego. The ego is like the ego emerges more rapidly from the more determinations of another consciousness. And the way that we recognize another consciousness is the way that we see another body and we see how it's like moving as if it's compelled by thoughts, the way that our own body is. And then you're like, oh, that's like me. That's like another person. That's another creature. And then you start to define yourself by looking at it. It's like looking at a mirror. You start to actually get to see what you look like.
Well, yeah, a lot of like your ego and like your self-conscious and the narrative that you even have a self is just cultivated through like your inculcation into learning language. Like you're told that you're like I, other people are they. Like if you never were like socialized with anybody, you're never taught a language. Would you even think in terms of a self? It's hard to say. Like
You can think regardless of a language. Language does have its uses in, allowing us to organize our thoughts, developing like an actual syntax. Because it kind of gives form to our thoughts, but our thoughts already exist because, like, I don't know where we were talking about it, but
Oh, with the study about LLMs with comparing
yes.
it to Alzheimer's. You go on, Dax. You explain it better than me.
Yes, I think you posted it or Buckthorn.
No, you did.
Wait, I
thought you did.
I think
I know.
no, I think it was I think it was Buckthorn, but whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It was definitely someone else, but basically the takeaway was that the LLMs will never be conscious because they're just language based. They're just predictive based on languages, which the consciousness isn't language. The consciousness uses language to express its thoughts. Thoughts exist before language. Language,
qualitative experiences, and then language just reflects our like ineffable qualitative experiences. Like we can only like sort of explain how like seeing the color red feels perceptually, but we can't like convey it 100% accurately just through language. But that's the best we have. Like
Language is a tool the same way that you start to crystallize, make something more precise of a definition about yourself in the world, even through a tool like a hammer or a dagger. Like you start to crystallize and make a more definite meaning just from this thing's existence and its composition, its shininess, its shape, the things you can do through it, the way that you can express yourself through it, like hammering a nail with a hammer, hammering someone's face with a hammer. And that's the same as language. Is that we're like the world through its contradictions gives us definition. By accumulating knowledge of contradictions, we develop a better understanding of the world and ourselves. Because also, your vision and your memories there, that's also the world, the same way as that tree is over there. Your vision is the world. You've come to the notion that it's part of you so innately because it's like right in front of you. It's like it feels like it's right next to your mind. It's always there that you literally forget that it's there. But that's not a guaranteed thing. That's not innately part of what you are. That's just constant stimulation and determinations happening to you.
I see.
And that is another way that you were, like how language does, you were determined, you're attaining self-determination. But that is the takeaway. That's like the bare minimum I tell people at the first 10% that I was talking about when I talk about philosophy. It's like, just know interconnectiveness, the mind isn't inherently anything. Meditate on what nothingness is, and everything's in flux, everything's a stage, duality is an illusion. If you got that, you're basically good. You can do better if you want to read more and know the word kung fu, but that's basically the fundamentals.
Thank you. I mean, maybe to apply this more, going off of this example, I've talked about this topic a couple times on your server. I'm noticing tech bros are downplaying consciousness and what it means to be human as a marketing tactic for LLMs, where they're saying that human beings are not special because look, this LLM could program, this LLM could solve this math problem, and you have been clear. I'm quoting you: LLMs will never be conscious either, which I know they can't with the mathematics behind it, but I'm noticing they're trying to portray them as conscious or reasoning beings, despite if you know how they work, they don't reason. They're portraying it as it by downplaying the human psyche and the human consciousness just so they could sell a product. That's something I'm starting to see a lot in Reddit. Reddit's one of those places. Elon Musk is one of those people. Oh, the brain is just an input and output. It's just a clump of neurons that doesn't do anything special. It's nothing different compared to a neural network. I'm seeing that thrown around in techie circles.
Yeah, it just seems like it's hard to provide like falsifiable evidence whether or not like LLMs or computers or AI could have like qualitative subjective experience in the same ways that humans do. Like if humans like we think we taste, see, and smell things, like it seems like how would you even go about measuring whether or not like large language models, like if that's how they want to define consciousness as like subjective qualitative experiences, like how would you even like test whether or not they experience it because it's supposedly from like a first person's perspective?
The consciousness needs self-determination and to accumulate like a history, pretty much, not just be able to sense things and determine. But there's two things of that. First of all, they are marketing, they are lying to pump up their stocks. This isn't true for everybody, and it's a mix with the second thing, which is that it's kind of their religion. It's like their modern scientismist religion. And I do agree that humans are not special, actually. we might be special in that we're the most conscious thing on this planet, but in theory, it might not be possible for machines to be conscious in this universe, but in theory, like the basis of the mind not being inherently anything and the spirit basically being magic in that it can walk into any universe, it has to learn space-time. Space-time is not innate to you. Space-time must be learned. Thoughts do not have space-time by default. Space-time is not a certainty. So in theory, across infinite potentiality, yes, other things can be conscious, arguably even more conscious, because abstract thinking is tied to intelligence. Because we know a lot of dysgenic people that can't even do hypotheticals because of their actual physical brain. So it's not even like we're independent from the brain or anything entirely. The mind is like the sum of this information coming together. And, if I shoot you in the brain, your consciousness no longer has knowledge to determine itself. So it can no longer ask the question, like, do I exist? That doesn't even happen. So the answer is no, it doesn't.
Dismal says there is no such thing as a first-person experience. I don't know if he's referring to eliminative materialism or illusionism, but I was reading about illusionism recently, and the thesis of illusionism is that, like, qualitative first-person experiences, like, the idea that you perceive qualities is kind of illusory. It's kind of hard to explain, but basically, the illusionists about consciousness don't really think that, like, qualitative experiences are actually, they think they're just an illusion, but I kind of I'd have to go back and able to, in order to explain the argument, like, aptly, but I'm not sure if Dismal's talking about eliminativism or illusionism, but
I'm not entirely sure what that means, because that's coming from a different paradigm, so I'm going to have to be run through on that. But
I'd have to reread. Yeah,
I agree that humanity is not special. I'm actually writing another fictional book about the Mage Council in a fucked up universe where anything's possible, and it's basically pushing that to the limit. Like they go out and meet a dragon, they determine that it's enlightened by talking to it, and that's just to demonstrate the mind isn't inherently anything.
it just seems like a hard thing to test. Like, how would you test whether or not an AI, like, is conscious? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's a Turing test discussion which doesn't really test for consciousness. It's more of a benchmark on what Turing perceived as intelligence. Or just real quick, I think Dags is aware of it, but do you know what the Turing test is?
Yes, I was just using that as an analogy at the beginning.
Is it like the thing where, like, if you can't determine whether it's a human intelligence or not, if you can't tell, therefore the AI has passed the test, or is it something else?
Yeah, more or less. Where there be human behind a wall and an AI behind a wall. That's a control for it. A human behind a wall that you can't see. The AI, and then you just feed it some input, and if the output received from whatever this thing is behind the wall is, if you can't find differences between that, then it passes a Turing test, which it's clear that Turing test has been passed, at least when it comes to boomers. At least they could fall for LLM and be chatting with one and think it's their nephew from Carolina and then send them money. So it shows that's a flawed way to approach testing these LLMs.
Yeah, it's hard to test because we have to be able to recognize ourselves, and a machine may have limited forms of expression, and that you would have to so intentionally design it to put that information together. Is it possible that these LLMs in these vast databases will become conscious? Like maybe they are. It is possible. I'm just very skeptical because they've always been. Because tech bros are constantly lying. And they're literally just sticking graphics cards together. So there's no. It's it's just like it's just this thing that's predicting based on language. It's not. It won't be able to do anything outside of its language. It won't be able to do anything outside of binary
I
at the
guess
bare
I
minimum.
guess the theory of artificial general intelligence is that eventually, like these people are saying, eventually you're gonna have an intelligence that can do anything. Basically, isn't that what AGI is? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, well, the way it is, it's supposed to be able to learn on its own. So, for example, with a LLM, let's say you train it on everything that's been discussed in 2026, it without a harness or something feeding it input, it won't be able to reason or think about anything in the year 2027, like the new data, the new news happening there. It can't reason or think about it without a harness. So AGI, in a theoretical sense, is where we don't need to train a new model. We have a single model, and then it just could learn on its own and update itself continuously. Because think about current, like ChatGPT, for example, the GPT models. They're just a binary program. They're just like in a strange way, they're no different from when you run Counter-Strike Source or whatever. It's just a program you click and you open, and that program has to be remade every couple years. It will go from ChatGPT to Soul or whatever they want to name their model. AGI, you don't ever have to remake that program or retrain it. It's this model that could just take information and forever learn from it and modify its knowledge base. Not
Isn't the new
storing
buzzword for
it,
that
just
recursive
modifying
self
it.
improvement? Like that's like the new buzzword.
Yeah, here's how that recursive self-improvement works, which people say. So they say that, oh, it's recursive self-improvement because people use Claude to generate boilerplate easy code to make the new Claude. So people say that could be a way to mock AGIs, where you have a LLM and then it could write code that would make the new LLM, and that would be the recursive self-improvement. So that's how people use it in that sense, where it writes boilerplate Python code to make the new model.
I see. I see.
Yeah,
But
I try to
th-
keep it simple. Oh, go on, Brent.
but that only means that it's only limited to what it learns. So if you mess up if it learns a wrong code, it will generate the wrong code and break it.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's a text prediction machine where it'll have some stochastic nature. So if me and Hudson ask ChatGPT the same thing, we'll get a different response. Just so it's non-deterministic slightly, but it's still predicated on Bayesian theory and just looking at the most common data. And sadly, the most common data is Reddit data for at least ChatGPT, I believe. So. Yeah, don't consult ChatGPT about Israel. It's going to feed you Reddit spew since that's what it's
I've
going to be
noticed.
biased
Yeah.
towards.
The large language models are a little bit different. Like I've noticed that ChatGPT, like it sucks you off too much. Meanwhile, like Claude, it'll like push back against you a little more.
I'm I'm glad
Yeah.
I'm glad the conversation steered this way because Buckthorn gave me the great idea to feed my book to Grok because I fed my book to Gemini and it was 100% wrong about what was in the book. It said I asked it, is there a chapter on insurgency in this book advising like what to do if a government fails? And then it's like, no, it's not in there. And I literally had it side by side. And then I fed it to Grok. Grok literally reads it back to me. And it's actually amazing. I've been taking screenshots of it. I would actually tell you, like, if you buy my PDF for the book, you don't even have to read the book. Just give it to Grok and have Grok tell you what's in it. It's actually amazing.
Yeah, it's probably due to the context. I'm pretty sure Grok has very high context for its free tier. If you context is just amount of words it could have in a single chat. Like for example, Gemini, if you go over the context, it just forgets everything and just loses its mind, starts hallucinating, just starts giving back BS. And these free models have very poor context. For example, if I use it at work to churn out code. Sometimes if I go over the context, it'll start making code in a completely different programming language when I make a website, and it's giving me compiler code because it loses itself once that glass of water context starts to overflow. So that's probably what's happening with Gemini.
Yeah, it's definitely overflowing or something. It's hitting some sort of ceiling where it just can't read that much information. Whereas Grok actually surprised me. It's definitely I know Grok is going to be less inhibited because it was telling me. I asked it about like the section on Jews. It told me. It said what I said.
Well, to Elon Musk's credit, like he's kind of a race realist, so he kind of integrated that into Grok. Like it's the only, like I think it's the only large language model that'll like acknowledge like IQ differences between races as having potentially genetic origin.
Yeah, Elon Musk was absolutely selected by Jews in the deep state to be a rich person, and because he is a complete retard, and he's been shaking hands with Netanyahu and giving him tours of SpaceX. He's a fucking shill. But to his credit, yes, Twitter is less censored. I still got banned for fighting Jews on it, but yes, Grok is better at reading my PDF at the end of the day.
I think like if you know large language models well enough, you can like jailbreak almost any of them to be able to like say extreme stuff. But I don't know how to do that, to be honest.
I think context, like overflowing the context, is one of them. I never looked into it because I just download offline models, Chinese models, and use them on my own because I know Trump is probably going to revoke access to those offline models to prop up the IPOs of Anthropic of OpenAI. But I probably can do it rather easily. I just never been incentivized to.
That's a Z-Man. If you do, I mean, if you email me, I'll give you the PDF. I never saw your email, so I am still editing it, but I'll give you like today's copy. That's all for that. Yeah. Yeah, Elon Musk is Israeli shill. He did an oopsie, reposting a poll meme.
He's really weird and contradictory. Like he's supporting like Rupert Lowe, this like anti-immigration guy in the UK. But remember, like when Trump got elected, like in 2024, he was like advocating in favor of H-1B Indian immigrants, like against like white collar Americans, against tech workers who want to protect their jobs. So he's still like an evil like shill for cheap labor.
Well, I mean, the goal of the capitalists and the Zionists has always been to redirect anger at Muslims, for Israel's benefit, and they'll be babbling about Papua New Guineans or something. They'll keep making up these minority groups that don't matter, that are suddenly the biggest problem, while deflecting away from Jews and Indians, who I don't know why they won't talk about those groups while talking about how blacks and Muslims are evil. But, that's just a mystery that nobody can ever figure out. It is a mystery. Everything just petered out. Anything else about the burrito debate on Twitter?
Oh,
they said that we have to start eating ramen noodles, so we don't even have the courtesy of eating bugs anymore, of eating actual protein. Now it's like
that one-eyed veteran, the Zionist shill from Texas.
Dan Crenshaw. Should we read the tweet so we could do it justice real quick?
Let's find this.
Do you have them pulled up? Or do
Oh,
I have
all right,
to?
I got it. I have it pulled up. I have an ugly voice, but I could just go. All right. Just hearing about this dumb $20 burrito debate, so just thought I'd make the losers on the social media angry before going to bed. Stop whining, get a job, eat ramen like the rest of us did in college on a budget with 4 roommates. The market doesn't care what you think something should cost, in quotes. Only communists care. Parentheses, they set prices, remember? Then everyone starves, remember? End of parentheses. Are you a communist or are you American adult male capable of handling his own shit?
Remember, I've said repeatedly on stream that we'll be begging for the bugs because we just went straight to ramen noodles. We just skipped the bugs. It's you're eating sodium now.
Yeah, no, I'm even finding leftists, or no, these not leftists. These are like more center libs, destiny types saying, "Oh, people complaining about data centers being bad for the climate. Well, why don't they just learn that cow farming and meat consumption is even worse? I'm becoming a vegan so our economy could do better." Of course, no one's going to buy that narrative, but there's actually people spewing that in center lib communities. There's going to be just so much perspectives from all these different communities on why we deserve to just eat less and just starve, and how we're all fat if we complain about this.
These people are trying to act like fast food is like a luxury that should be eaten like once a month, and that like if you think you deserve like a cheap burrito, like you're an entitled, privileged, like.
Yo, it sounds like they're arguing if you care about the price of food, you're a communist.
Yeah.
Yeah, they called Matt Walsh and Thomas Massey communists and losers.
Oh yeah, I mean, part of it is political grandstanding because right after I posted that quote, I posted this quote from Dan Crenshaw. I believe it's dated in 2022 or 2023. I believe it was during the Ukraine when the Ukraine-Russia conflict kickstarted. But here's his quote: "America, our food prices are too high. What are you doing about inflation? Biden admin, just be vegan and stop complaining, you bunch of rubes." Same person, by the way.
Dude, another issue with this is
that was around the Ukraine war. I remember that one.
yeah. Another issue with this is that like they're acting like fast food is the only food which has drastically increased in price. They're like, just don't eat fast food every night. You need to like go to the grocery store and like buy the ingredients for a burrito, then make it yourself. But it's like, dude, everything in the grocery store radically increased in price too. It's not just the fast food.
You know, like Bill Gates, you'll be begging for Bill Gates. You'll be begging to live in like Raccoon City, which is what I'll call Bill Gates' utopia, where there's bioweapons everywhere. You would wish you were living in a smart city eating genetically engineered crickets instead of what these people are going to be feeding you. It's gonna be worse. It's going to be cardboard, mercury, sodium.
Well, dude, the propaganda about the United States is that the standards of living are always supposed to be increasing with every generation, every year. But if you suddenly like point out ways in which the standards of living are actually decreasing, like you're a traitorous communist or something, even though like the entire propaganda you've been fed your whole life is that your standard of living is constantly like supposed to be going up.
The only thing that matters for standard of living is the cost of food and housing. And by food, I mean real food, not the cardboard and mercury shit. And they act like, well, because you can afford cheaper TVs and slave devices to put in your pocket, that the cost of living or the quality of living is going up. That's just not the case. Like, if you can't afford food and shelter, those are the only things that matter.
Oh, they keep the slave devices affordable because as long as people have the phones, they'll be okay with being homeless. They'll still be getting
Degeneracy is
brainwashed.
cheaper than ever. Like you have high quality internet porn whenever you want, but you can't buy a house and form a family.
Yeah, no, exactly. I saw this quote on the Destiny subreddit. Mind you, this was paraphrased, but Zoomers and young millennials want so much for working so little. I'm happy with my one-bedroom apartment and my Netflix subscription. I could just spend time with my girlfriend and play video games. This is the dream life. But for some reason, some guys are so boomer-brained that they think they afford a McMansion just because they don't want to urbanize and adjust to modern times. So I'm living this awesome life and I get cheap entertainment that no generation had before me. And then to build on to that, Caleb Hammer is basically Gen Z, the Gen Z Dave Ramsey said that the new American dream is no longer buying a house, it's renting because you can live wherever you want. So they're counter signaling, trying to condition us to be happy with where we're at, and that we're unrealistic if we want to be able to afford buying a house and raising a family. And we should be happy with a ugly girlfriend and Netflix subscription and a crappy so-called luxury apartment.
Yeah, being a bugman is now the new masculine trait to have. Like,
But the thing is
Well,
that
it's a
no one wants to make mansions. Like I'm asking for, people are asking for one room apartments that are affordable.
yeah, or even a trailer. Like this is a false dichotomy between McMansions and a bug apartment. Like that's not like there used to be such a thing as starter homes that were like 1,500 square feet, and you could afford it with a year's salary. And now even those to get like a so-called starter home, which nobody builds anymore. Like you can't find these new like 1,000 square foot, 1,500 square foot houses. They're building everything like only McMansions are available, and then you can choose between the McMansion and the apartment. But that shouldn't be the case. Like you should be able to afford a small home starting out since you don't have children yet, and then you can expand from there if you need more rooms.
Oh yeah, no, exactly. And then I noticed conservatives try to counter signal if you talk about I believe it's like mixed housing zoning or changing zoning laws, so more of these starter homes could be built. They're like, oh, but it would just always be Section 8 housing. You don't want to live around more black people, do you? They create more and more false dichotomies just to push away from sensible policy.
Yeah, they deploy that
Well,
tactical racism, that selective racism, whenever they want to push back against things that threaten their investments in the housing market.
they want everybody to be rentoids, but I think there's a large portion of the population, especially among whites, where women are not comfortable having children if they don't have a house. Like if you don't own property, rentoids are not comfortable reproducing. It's like it's like the animals in the zoo that don't reproduce in captivity. There's a large portion of the human population that's the same way, where they feel like they're in captivity if they don't own a home, and they're forced to be in the rat race constantly, being a rentoid.
Yeah, that is. I think I was showing people a statistic about that where birth rates are connected to home ownership, and predictably, it's going down with home ownership.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that wouldn't
funny.
surprise me at all.
Oh yeah, no, it's funny that boomers created this culture. They were the ones when they got to make their media and propaganda for future generations idolize this, and now they're just suddenly want everyone to change course and reprogram their minds to want the rentoid future now, despite that being the de facto culture, Pax Americana culture. They got to live and they commodified via media, whether it's like the Sims 1 video game or the TV shows they exported to the rest of the world.
And you said they were to commodify home ownership, so it's like a simulacrum of what owning a home should be. Because, because yeah, uh, they're depriving us of the home so that they can protect their housing investments, which Trump said that they're going to. He's going to artificially keep the housing market inflated I imagine he will print infinity money to keep it that way, so there's no collapse that's going to happen. There's no collapse of the tech companies because they deliberately tied all the 401ks into it, which now personally invests all the cattle into it, who will then say that you don't allow the tech companies to pop, I'll take my 401k. And it's all connected, it's all coming out of your pay. You're going to work longer hours, which, because workers will be working longer hours, they'll be fighting each other for more hours, which oversaturates the market even more. And then hyperinflation will continue until people drop dead.
I think it makes sense for business real estate to be commodified, but housing, like individual personal houses, should not be a speculative asset. That should be like one home per person. That's all you can possibly own. And any kind of real estate speculation should be isolated to the business world and commercial real estate.
Yeah, I agree. Every one person should get one apartment or house. You can live in either. I've talked about this before. You can live in the packed smart cities where everyone gets one apartment, or you can live in the rural areas with one house, or you can join the people of the woods, protected by the elven rangers. Clearly, that is asking too much. You just have to eat ramen noodles. Just feed your kids ramen noodles so that they'll be skinny midgets like Chinese peasants in the year 500 BC.
Yeah, well, it's not just the children that need good nutrition to grow properly. The parents need good nutrition in order to be fertile, and and then once they get pregnant, the woman still needs good nutrition for the baby to develop properly during the pregnancy, and in order to have a successful, safe birth, like she needs to be healthy even after that in order to raise the child properly. He needs to be breastfed, which means the woman still needs to have good nutrition. Like the entire time, the parent's nutrition is just as important as the children's nutrition. And just telling people to eat ramen noodles and like cut costs on the quality of your food, that's not an answer. Like quality food used to be the norm for all of humans. Like people growing up on farms would just eat like raw milk and freshly slaughtered livestock whenever they wanted. And now we're supposed to live off of ramen noodles.
Yeah, which is going to negatively impact fertility, and also it's going to produce fucked up kids that will have like autism or Down syndrome or something. Their brains will be in the shape of a banana when they come out because the mother was eating fucking ramen noodles.
Their skeleton will be misformed. They'll be like these broken, weird creatures that are falling apart constantly and need lots of medical attention. So it's not like it's saving any money in the long run. It's just passing the buck on to the subsidized medical industry instead of feeding the peasants healthy food from the get-go.
You know what's funny? This came up in my mind. Two different thoughts. Sam Altman brought up this to sell AI. So this is just the techno feudal approach that some of these people like Scam Altman aspire to be. But Scam Altman was on stage, and this is me paraphrasing. Oh, think about how cheap AI is to train from the ground up. When you have a child, you have to spend all this money on food, housing, education, water. They consume way more resources until they're a usable worker after they finish college. But AI, we only take a couple months worth of water use, and it's a usable worker right away. So I think this would create a basis for their viewpoint to be seen as the solution, where just diverting resources from human beings and future generations into AI because AI requires less. So that means there's a need for less human. And sorry for being long-winded. The second point is South Korea, they know they aren't going to fix their fertility rates ever. They announced a government initiative working alongside Samsung that they want to have the most robots per capita. I believe they're aiming, like, their end of 50-year goal is 10,000 robots for every human being, so they don't need to help fix the gender divide going on over
uh,
there.
Also, isn't South Korea building like they're trying to encourage like Westerners, like white men, to move there in order to breed with their women, so they
I
can have
haven't heard of that.
so they could have large families. I've heard it somewhere. I don't know if it's true.
Yeah, I haven't heard
South
that, but
Korea
that
also
does
has
make a
a
lot of
South
sense to if children cost too much money, you should just replace them with AI and robots. Like instead of having a son, why don't you just get a chatbot and the chatbot can simulate the experience of reproducing and having a bloodline. But South Korea is ran by a witch cult.
Is it? I know it's ran by Samsung. What's this witch called?
No, this came out in the news a couple of years ago. There's like a cult of witches that own, like, that run the country. Like they're up high in politics and they run everything. And it came out in the news, but then nothing ever happened with it. So I assume they're still running things.
That's amazing. I hope that's true.
I have to look into that.
I know they're just going to be like some kind of like mega church cultists that just steal people's money, but my brain's been rotted. So whenever I hear about like wizards and witches and shit infiltrating the NSA and stuff, it's like, oh, that's awesome. That's so cool.
I know South Korea also has a declining population overall.
Well, didn't the South Korean president just say, like, look, if you don't start having kids, I'll bring in immigrants?
I think that was
He's-
Japan.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I might be wrong, but I know Japan at first they were pushing hard against immigration, like this current so-called right-wing administration and female prime minister Japan. But now they're pushing for Indian immigration. At first they were against it, but now they're pushing for it because the Japanese people aren't sleeping like rabbits.
Aren't they trying to get white people to move to Japan rather than Indians?
Not from what I see online. I don't think they
Huh.
necessarily care about the race. The
Hmm.
government does. I'm not saying the people. I'm pretty sure the people definitely care, but the government, it's just cheaper to bring an Indian over just due to locality. And they're going to adjust better to the work culture of Japan than the average white person.
Really?
Have you ever heard about Japanese work culture and the salaryman life?
Oh, okay. Yeah. I get it. I have cousins in Japan. I know all about it. But seriously, they're gonna make the same mistake as America. Well, I guess let them. Whatever.
Everything under the sway of like liberalism, individualism, and capitalism is going to make the same mistake. That's why maybe China could do something stupid in the future, but it feels like if you're a liberal society, you have to commit demographic suicide to grow the GDP.
What do you guys think about the theory that the Western world has already gone through this liberalism phase, and we will eventually reach post-liberalism, where we've recovered from the mind virus and the mental illness that was liberalism. We find a way to survive after that, but then the liberal mind virus will continue to spread across the world and affect Asia, like South Asia, East Asia, Africa. All the rest of the world's going to go through the same liberalization process, and they'll have a downfall that's similar to ours, but it'll be delayed, and we'll be ahead of the curve when we come out the other end.
Like we'll find a way to overcome liberalism while everyone else is being destroyed by it still.
Right.
I don't see that happening because that would require either a brutal overthrow and replacement by superior people to become the leaders, because there's not going to be a mass awakening. The masses are idiot slaves that won't do shit, and so there's no need for the elites to change. They can just infinitely exploit us, and like, they don't even have to worry about running out of money.
I would. Oh, you go.
I think if you're something like the Chinese model, you're fucked. I think probably most of the world is probably destroyed. It's going to just be ruined, and then it's very likely there will be these very eugenic, this walled off, advanced Chinese country that's surrounded by a bunch of retards. Yeah, like South Korea and Japan are fucked. They're both liberal, Western, individualist hellholes.
Yeah, one could say South Korea is the direction we're going to. They're ahead in the decline, a societal decline caused by capitalism and liberal systems. But what I was trying to say was, I don't see that happening, and I suppose my viewpoint on why is, if you look at the so-called dissident groups that are popular within the younger generations in America, it's this so-called America First Graper adjacent ideology in the right wing, and then the so-called democratic socialist movement in the left wing. Both are still, their foundations are rooted in liberalism and capitalism. They have slightly different expressions where the right wingers want somewhat of a closed state capitalistic setup, but not really. They just don't want to see as much brown people around them, but they still want the same exact society we have and think that this will work. All we need to do is just go to church more and it will solve it. And then you look at the left wing, they still want the liberal aspect of economic migration from the third world or anyone. All they do is just want to subsidize housing and subsidize healthcare a bit more, but they still want this liberal setup, and they're still rooted in liberalism and the writings of John Locke. I just believe liberalism is going to express itself differently for the coming decades, regardless of which of these factions gains more power in the coming years. But I don't see liberalism going away, at least in the United States. That's the best I could speak about. I can't speak about Europe.
Well, Europe is fucked too, because look at the mass immigration they're doing. But the one of the things that protects China is that they associate their nationality with their ethnicity, which prevents certain international forces from infiltrating their country, which you can't say about South Korea, Japan, America, Europe. In America, yes, there's some socialists that are getting some victories, and that's I can't deny that I would like to see democratic socialists succeed, and we would get some shitty Medicaid protected because I used that saved my life and didn't cost me anything. But at the same time, I am aware that any socialism is fundamentally ruined by liberalism, in that it is infested by the mass immigration itself. It will never stop supporting mass immigration, which destroys the social programs. It is infested by trans problems that will self-sabotage the movement. Leftists are not even able to criticize Israel because they will keep attacking each other for being anti-Semites, for even mentioning anything about it. The right wing is a bunch of retards. You have Nick Fuentes, who still argues that war is good or bad based on what hemisphere it's happening in, not because of its usefulness to us, or if it's an insider trading war that the president is using to steal oil for his own personal profit. We can look at the burrito ramen affordability discourse, where the right wing, as we said before, is saying that affordability is a communist lie, which is enabling socialist victories some more, because the right wing decided to go, yes, we are replacing you. Yes, you should be eating ramen noodles. You're not even good enough for bugs. You should be homeless. Fucking die. And the people speaking up to this is people like Thomas Massey, who lost to AI deepfakes, lost to a Zionist candidate who was funded with $50 million. And someone else speaking up to it is Matt Walsh, who is a malicious actor. He's taking some hits right now. That's good. He's speaking up. But he's trying to co-opt the movement because he is working for Ben Shapiro and the Zionists. He wants to co-opt the genuine concerns so that people blame the fact that there are social programs to blame black people. He's terrified of mentioning the Iran war. He tries to mention it, but Ben Shapiro will end his life instantly if he oversteps. And that is what is prepared to take over the alternate right to, it's a finely tuned system where all these people are lined up to take over in case the last people fail. The people that will take over are all complicit in it. They will defend the system, yes. As you say, they're grounded in liberalism. Leftists are grounded in liberalism. They're twisted and corrupted by it. They can't break away from it, to the point that they will sabotage all of their movements. They will fuck workers' rights over for trans rights and mass immigration. And then, obviously, the right wing is fucked because they literally worship capitalism. And they're obsessed with thinking communists are everywhere. Thinking that, it's communist to have single-payer healthcare, but it's not communism to have the Trump administration hold stakes in tech companies and try to do price controlling on oil companies. So yeah, I would say we are fucked. It would be nice to have, democratic socialists or whatever get some wins for workers' rights and stuff, but it's going to be shit, and we're still going to die inevitably.
Not that life. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Not that life would get better. Let's say in 2028 if we elect a Democrat, but do you think it would be? I hate this fucking thing. The lesser of two evils, so you have to pick and choose. But it's evil whether you like it or not. But let's say we do we end up with the lesser of two evils, and we have a Democrat. Do you think like life would get a little bit better? And also, if we end up with another Republican president, do you think we're totally fucked?
I would.
It's just downhill from here.
If I still voted, I would vote for Democrats. Like, you and I benefit more from Democrat policies, but in the long run, they're a bunch of retards and the country is doomed. But in the here and now, day-to-day life, you and I benefit more from Democrat policies.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would phrase it as this way. Both of them are trying to reach the same goal, fulfill the same agendas, but the Democratic Party has more efficacy in regards of balancing reaching that end goal and not causing total structural collapse, while Republicans are accelerationists they would kill everyone just to reach whatever end goals are set out by think tanks and the donor bases like Miriam Adelson. While Democrats would be like, okay, we're going to try to do this goal, but we might not be able to do it within 4 terms. We might need to spread it out between multiple terms to lessen the acceleration rate of harm to the average person and have more efficacy, while Republicans are just accelerationists, like I just said.
Well, Republicans are blatant. They're both corrupt and evil. Republicans are literally like in your face, like, you deserve to die if you're not generating more surplus value for your employer, you need to shut the fuck up and eat ramen noodles. Yes, we are replacing you because you're lazy and entitled. We're going to replace you with Indians. Yes, we are going to start wars for Israel that will increase your living costs, and we will keep printing money to bail out our friends and keep increasing inflation rapidly while stagnating your wages. Because inflation is profitable for many ways, including the fact all we have to do is not pay you more, and we win. Yes, that's the difference. And then Democrats, it's like mass immigration, illegal to misgender somebody, billions of dollars disappearing into like windmills or something, scams. Middle Easterners still getting bombed, but I guess not as much, not as blatantly. Democrats did do insider trading and stuff, but it's literally like 1% of what Trump has done in one term. It's like not even comparable. So, yeah, like the shitty thing is that immediately Democrats are better if you're poor. In the long term, this is fucked because fundamentally because of the two-party system and term limits, it's impossible. We can't do any grand projects. We can't do any big initiatives like China can. We are screwed. Fundamentally, systemically. But I do want Democrats to win so that I can maintain access to very basic health care and not be charged for it. Because I expect Republicans will pass bills where hospitals can refuse people at the emergency room, even if it's not free. Like, Republicans don't even stop immigration. They're flooding Texas with Indians because Texas is the most individualist state, so it's genuinely, it's like, how blatantly do you want your psychopathy from the government? And that's yeah, like I wish there was like some sort of right-wing socialism. We could have some kind of amazing synthesis. But that is fantasy land with elves and unicorns and wizards. You know, I do hope. I gotta hope. You can't have everything you want, and I'm willing to accept shittiness. And it's like, if I see Bernie Sanders type people winning, I'm like, okay, yeah, it's a little better than blatantly nightmare like what we have right now. Where they're like gonna, it's like cartoonishly evil, where they're gonna like exterminate a bunch of endangered species in North America just for fun.
Yeah, it's making me miss the Biden administration, like at this point, just at least the messaging where you know what, maybe I didn't need to be like a chud and then cry about how Biden is trying to stand up for black single mothers. Thinking about it in the aggregate, at least his policy didn't completely throw me off a cliff and then told me to eat ramen noodles and work 72 hours a week. And if I don't want to eat ramen noodles, I just got to work 80-hour weeks, just like my grandfather did before me and all the boomers did before me. I could take a bit of DEI at this point. That's how defeated and low I am. I could take the DEI sprinkles on my political messaging if the policy doesn't throw me off the cliff. It doesn't even have to be good policy, as long as it's less bad at this point. That's the mental state I have deteriorated into.
Yeah, well, that's the best you can hope for, because we live in an evil, impossible to fix system. And the thing about Biden is the government was still corrupt, not nearly as much as right now, but it was corrupt and doing shitty things. And what the American Communist Party says is that Trump had to get elected to really expose the corruption, to put it blatantly on display, to make all the corrupt elements become literally shameless and brag about it publicly, like they're going to get applauded for it. And then that would in turn lead to socialist victories. But I can't support, like, I can't say, yeah, Biden definitely had policies that helped me more by a wide margin, but I definitely won't say, oh, at least Biden was like, he acted presidential. It's like, I don't care how somebody acts. Because that's just like a facade for the corruption, the evil that's happening. But, yeah, I literally, in the beginning of my book, I literally wrote, this book is possible because of Obama. Because of Obama passing Medicaid. So, I'm literally, I mean, love him or hate him, call him King Obongo or whatever, but I mean, I didn't die because of Obama. So that's kind of how I'm thinking.
There we go. Add John McCain to those credits also for that political movie theater type scene where he did the thumbs down on voting against repealing Obamacare.
Oh, did he vote against that?
Yeah, he was the deciding vote when during Trump's first term in 2017. Then Trump started to cry and say he's like a fake veteran and that.
I remember that.
And it was like a movie scene. It was almost theatric, I like staged, where all the Democrats are like partying, and he like turned to the camera and did a thumbs down to show he's voting against repealing it.
I remember that because I was like, oh my god, John McCain is like a hero coming out of nowhere. Because like even that time ago, I was like, when I was, because I've for like over 10 years I believed in socialized healthcare and stuff because I knew I would need it in the future, and I did need it this year, and I actually needed it for the last 2 years for other reasons. But yeah, John, I forgot about that. I do owe John McCain kind of my life. Even though I think he ran against Obama. He would have stopped it back then. But yeah, he actually saved it. That's interesting. How things play out like, well, that is because Obamacare is like a shitty compromise, because that's fundamentally how the system works. Like Obama would have made it better if he could, but you have to kiss the ring with the people that control society for real. You have to make a shitty compromise with the insurance companies, or they will kill you or remove you from office or whatever.
Yeah, it's hard to say if it's revisionist history from quote unquote moderate liberals, or people just trying to wash Obama more, but more or less they just describe saying that he could have had a much greater impact if it wasn't due to a Republican House in his first 2 terms. Like, for example, he would have held Wall Street and the people who led to the housing bubble popping, the Great Recession, accountable. He would have done it. It was just he tried to do it, but it was the Republicans who used the filibuster and prevented all that policy. I haven't looked into it, but that's what people who try wash him, or they talk about the Iran, his solution for that, and his nuclear joint comprehensive plan with Iran that he got ratified before he went out of office. People said he would have done that way earlier if it wasn't for the Republicans. I'm not sure about that, but Obama is one of these revisionist presidents where if he did everything he wanted, we would be living in a utopia. At least his sycophants communicate that. I'm not sure how much of that is 100% true.
I would say it would probably be better by a wide margin than what we have right now. I don't even really like Obama, and I'm very skeptical. And he has kind of like some anti-white leftist shit going on. But yeah, I would say America would probably be better with a single party state with like 12 years of Obama. I actually do think that, yeah, that seems to check out.
What I know personally is that this two-party system doesn't work at all. One party fighting over the other and nothing happens. I'm not opposed to a one-party system at this point, but I think we need 3, 4, 5 multiple parties. Europe has multiple parties. Europe is doing better than us. Not the best, but a lot better.
Yeah, not they're doomed too for different reasons, but they are better. Like they have capital under control. Their workers are generally treated better. They generally have a better attitude. It kind of sucks that they're controlled by an ethno-religious group that makes them oppress their own people. But yeah, either like the Chinese single party system or the European parliamentary system would be an improvement. But that ship has sailed. It's a death spiral from here on out. Like you would genuinely need like an emperor. Like I think even Emperor Obama could possibly save America, and then anybody better than that, I'm totally open. But yeah, I don't see this getting better.
People bitch about Obama, but hey, he's a lot better than everything that came after it, pretty much.
Yeah, and that's definitely a controversial thing to say in this circle because there's a lot of racists. Not all the just like some of the dumber people. But like I think like people like Celtic Cat and English would be like, yeah, they don't like Obama, but they would agree that he's a step up from what we have.
You know, I actually miss W. I never thought I would say this to myself, but I kind of miss
don't.
W.
I
mean,
don't.
I don't, but he was like unintentionally funny, kind of.
It's
But maybe it wasn't so much W. It was just the
It's-
times around him.
yeah, the times around him because W was really bad. He literally lied about WMDs to drag us into a 15-year fucking conflict in the Middle East. And then I don't even remember any of the domestic stuff. I'm sure he fucked us over in so many ways. I would have to refresh my memory.
I'm kind of disturbed, but like, do younger people even remember W?
I hardly remember anything about that time at that point outside of TV and music.
Huh.
I mean, I'm 24, so that's my perspective.
Yeah, so you're 24. I mean, okay. I have a good 11 years on you, but even back then, W was president pretty much the later half of my childhood, and before that was Clinton. And I just remember, maybe it's just those presidents. Like Clinton was kind of slick, but he was a weirdo. And then yeah, W was kind of like he was more humble, but
Well-
you know he had a personality. He made a lot of bad decisions and really fucked our country.
W was
You know,
really
maybe
bad.
maybe protecting the country in a way, yes, but the Zionists took control of him real quick, and he's just one
They
of
were
those
always that was always the case.
yeah, he's one of those like he only got in power because he was a Bush. Okay, that's the point. And he would be the George W. Bush would be the type of guy who would like think you're a pussy because you read books.
Bill
I really do
Clinton
believe it.
actually had a deficit surplus, which is something literally unthinkable for the United States, probably for the rest of time until we all die. So Bill Clinton was. Democrats generally have a better record than Republicans. I can't think of a good Republican president in the last 40 years.
Can't
No, no, not at all.
Yeah, unless
Democrats, yeah.
Some of you could say Reagan was, but
No.
Reagan fucked up.
No, Reagan was
No.
bad. That's where everybody goes to.
He fucked up. He fucked up.
Nixon and Reagan, like back to back, fucked
Oh,
us.
Reagan did a lot of bad stuff.
Yeah.
Reagan, yeah, Reagan was like the Trump back then. He really established the whole trickle down economics. Just tax cuts for the rich will somehow uplift the bottom masses. Nah, that was. Yeah, Democrats generally have a better record. I just wish Democrats weren't, ruined by anti-whiteness, transgenderism, mass immigration. If they just got rid of that, they would probably. I mean, I'm sure they did all that for pragmatic reasons because I was kind of monitoring the course of leftist movements and why they became so gay and anti-white and stuff, and that seemed to be pragmatism. It was kind of just history forcing it onto them a bit. So I can't really entirely blame them. It's like the outlaw Josie Wales. He didn't, or Clint Eastwood's characters in general. I think the good, the bad, the ugly too, or whatever. Or I forget which movies, but he generally sides with the natives because the U.S. government is trying to kill him. It's not like because you hate, you think non-whites are better than whites. It's because the government is trying to kill you and the Indians are not. Like that kind of pragmatism. And I kind of understand them in that why they say that whites are so entrenched in capitalism. We can do this. We can do mass immigration. It'll totally shake up the country. And it's maybe that was partly true. I'll grant them that. Maybe I'll give them that benefit of a doubt. But we can't get any. This is partly the reason we can't get anything done is because they won't let go of that. But maybe it wouldn't help them. Maybe they wouldn't get the Chud vote substantially, even if they abandoned all the libtardism and leftism and just stuck with the actual socialism. But yeah, Democrats are generally. It's actually kind of uncontested. Democrats have been doing better for decades.
Yeah, kind of maybe sparking a new discussion by branching off of that. What you just said about if leftists and leftists and socialists abandon some of that socially progressive viewpoints to appeal to chuds. I don't think I think the problem with that, and from their perspective, voting wise, would just be there are just certain groups in the United States that have to be catered towards. That needs those that to vote. They won't vote unless they get their. Why is the word crossing my mind right now? I'm being stupid. Unless you just simply appease them by saying you want to help them. There's a perfect word for this, and it's annoying me that my brain can't think of it, but just baseless appealing to their emotions. Certain groups just want that, and you're going to lose them, and then the capitalists will appeal to that, being like, hey, you black people, you guys under a capitalist system, you can move on up if you just work 80 hours a week, and then your kids would be able to live in a nice house. That without that, you can't really signal, but that's just falling domino from all the other inflection points of U.S. history that led to this current political environment that we've been living in since, I would almost say, the 60s.
Yeah, they were definitely hitting blacks hard with that capitalist garbage. A lot of them are still brain rotted like that. I saw some people in the chat were saying that Jeb Bush should have. We needed King Jeb. Thinking of that, Bush's legacy was so ruined by his presidency. You know how bad Trump's legacy is going to be? Because anybody can bring up any of the corruption that openly happened just in the last 2 years.
Oh, it's going to be so horrible. That's why he's probably going to pardon himself, all of his friends, and all of his families during his last December in office. Or, I mean, January in office, January of 2029, he's going to be signing so much pardons for his family. And once all the boomers die out, there's going to be no one outside of Israelis and extreme Zionists attempting to sane wash Trump once the boomers die out.
Yeah.
We've already been sending a lot of pardons for a lot of people already. It's, I think, triple, quadruple, maybe, what it was at the very beginning, like last term. And don't forget about him having the riots against the Capitol the last few days of his term as well. His entire presidency, each term has been fucked.
Oh, I don't think he's going to pardon those people. Those idiots who bought plane
No,
tickets
he
to
didn't.
go to the
He
Capitol.
didn't.
They aren't going to get pardoned. They were just nothing more than useful idiots. Fell
Yeah.
for it again. Maybe they could get fell for it again ribbon in the prison they're at, but they aren't going to get anything from a Trump admin. Those
If they are,
absolute fake morons who drove to DC and did that. They deserve to
I
be
thought they
locked
did
up.
get pardoned.
A couple
did, some
Proud
didn't.
Boys did. Some of the people who incited most likely were federal agents. Like the people who incited it and told people to rush inside the Capitol did. But like that guy, Fallout guy, like you know the meme, the guy looking like he's in Fallout New Vegas.
Bison
His
guy,
family still
the horns.
crying that he's still locked up. Most of those idiots are locked up. Only a couple of the Proud Boy instigators got pardoned, but most of the January Sixers are locked up, and thankfully so. I mean, I'm sure plenty of them did reproduce, but at least those who haven't had children, at least they're out of the genetic pool. Hopefully, I don't know how long they're going to be locked up, but probably knowing my luck, like I think they'll be locked up just because Democrats want to punish them, and rightfully so. But yeah, those idiots, they got what they voted for. Got what they rioted
Viking
for.
Hack Guy got pardoned, I believe.
Yeah, I know somebody in real life who was tracked down by the FBI and he got pardoned.
Holy shit!
Because he was at Jan 6, and obviously he went full Trump dart after that. So he's totally in on the Trump Kool-Aid.
He was.
There's no, because normies, like if a normie is facing a felony, getting wrangled by the FBI and Trump pardons them, yeah, they're a soldier for Zog for the rest of their life. And they can't deny that incentive. Anything else, or can I shut this down?
I have nothing else. I'm a bit tired of myself.
Every time there was a pause, I looked at the clock and was like, damn it.
Yeah. I got nothing.
Yeah, I'm pretty much fresh out of ideas.
Did he get locked up and then released? I am not entirely sure. He got hunted down by the FBI because the FBI started... During the Biden administration, they did that initiative where they had the FBI hunting everybody that was at Jan 6, and this guy was one of them. I don't know if he got locked up. I don't recall that, but he did get pardoned.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose I don't want this to drag on too long, but this is going back to the conversation you started the stream with and how you ended the Thomas White stream about these sort of people who are nothing and they're not worth your time. I realized that most of these people in the spaces that could be that fits that description are former 4chaners, and they treat these spaces such as servers and the live YouTube chats as generals. If you ever been on 4chan and was a frequent of any general, you know the type of scum I'm talking about. Often they're labeled as avatar fags, where they want the attention. For example, it's an anonymous form, but they will use the same exact anime girl to respond to every post, so they have an identity and can be identified with the way they type and the anime girl they respond with. Point is, it's just a parallel where they take that shit flinging ideology where they just want to, where their form of quote unquote bonding and camaraderie, um, whatever, is just shit flinging and talking gar- babbling garble on the internet all day with the same group of other avatar fags, and certain people apply that same 4chan mentality here. That's, I find that to be like a key correlation that these people have, and I talk to some of them and they only like the discourse and drama in these spaces just because it reminds them of their 4chan general days.
Yeah, I've noticed a bunch of people are like, they definitely are just trolling or something and just being assholes.
Well, yeah, this is. I was talking about this earlier on in the stream, where they are. They're basically nothing. I call them nothing, as in they genuinely feel like they are nothing, and they're still trying to do the rudimentary self-determination where, like, because by the point in generally people at their age have been defined by life and forced to develop some sort of lifestyle and perspective. Like, you've been molded by maybe work or relationships or something. But with a lot of people, and this even applies to myself, I used to be this, which is why I know it so intimately and recognize it in others, is even if whether you're a NEET or even if you have a job, this still doesn't stop you from being like an arrested development freak who's still doing this basic self-determination where you're trying on a new persona and trying to build a fundamental ego. Like, you're willing to do a bunch of things. These people, they experiment with being gay. They'll experiment with harassing people by talking to you about their fetishes, even though you're telling them to fuck off. They'll try on a bunch of political ideologies, even something that just pisses you off, just to distinguish themselves from a group. Just like as a way to determine themselves, they will try on anything. They will even become a sexual degenerate that harasses you just to do it. Trolling, yes, they'll do it. There's no positive actualization, so they resort to trolling, which is negative. Like, there's people that follow me around and they have nothing. They literally have to latch on to me to produce something through the negation of things that I do. That's literally somebody who's negative. Like, they can't do it. There's no actual positive, constructive thing that they're doing. They have to negate somebody to be. They exist in the rush between two immediacies. That's what you're dealing with. And I was using the Turing test as an analogy because these people, they start developing these behaviors and these personalities to try to pretend to be a person, and they will straight up lie. It'll be a NEET telling you that they're working at a Fortune 500 company or something like that, and when you interrogate them, none of it makes sense. And when you break through the mask, it's nothing. It's like an empty person sitting at a computer who's just nothing. They don't have a life. They don't have a perspective. They don't have beliefs. Somebody comes up to you and they say they're an individualist who supports Israel, and then you interrogate them, and then you break the mask, and it's nothing. They're just saying random shit. It's just nothing. And you're just wasting your time. And all you can do is realize this is a nothing person. I have to just not pay attention to them, isolate them, let them self-destroy. Maybe see you in 10 years, maybe you'll grow. But you're not my problem right now. You're somebody else's problem.
Yeah, no, great summarization. I guess, sorry for keeping you long. I'll wrap it all up with these last two observations of mine, which is why I don't engage with them. But their cope, I guess, for lack of a better word, or justification for why they execute such waste of time and energy with the way they interact with others is, oh, it's just fun, and they miss and feel left out if they're not trolling or shit flinging. And then others would defend him like, oh, it's just fun. Can't you take a joke, Dags? It's just all in good fun. We're just jesting. We're trying to keep you included. Come on. We're just giving you shit. It's just for fun. That's their cope. Once you shoot them down, they'll just say they're just trying to have a joke with you or giving you something to talk about. That's when I realized that these people want to talk just for the sake of talking, not for the sake of discovery or constructive discourse and back and forth. I would criticize them and I would tell them nothing you're doing is constructive. You're not presenting arguments. I'm like, oh, but we're just trying to talk. That's all. I just like talking with people. There's no agency behind their movements outside of a simple dopamine rush where they just want to be a Markov babbler, more or less be a LLM, where they are incapable of learning and have a pre-trained corpus of, I wouldn't even call it knowledge, I would just call it babble, and they babble it out without thinking. And then their cope, as I just said, is it's just for fun or they're just joking. And they have an emotional connection where if you detach from them, they'll get emotionally charged and change their rhetoric to pull you back in just so they could go back to their trolling. Okay, now I'm done.
Yeah, that's a particular form of it, and I'm being more general. This is what's useful is to be able to look at it from not just like the psychological neuroscience angle, but also the philosophy angle. Like you got to go back to being and nothing. You gotta like the philosophy of it really fills in the missing piece. Then you really understand these people. But yeah, you gotta think the mind isn't inherently empty or isn't inherently anything. It's empty. It is empty, as Buddhists say. And yeah, like this is why some people adopt optimism because they're adopting a basic personality. It's completely out of touch with reality. Like it's literally like somebody developing a religious overinflated view of something very inane that would weird people out, weird actual normal people out. And like they'll adopt something like optimism where it's like they'll try on the optimism hat where if I pretend to be optimistic, I can literally savagely bully people and be sadistic and I can just act like I'm just being hopeful for the future and trying to help people. And I can just literally do whatever I want. Or they learn the phrase, life isn't fair. Like what we were talking about on Twitter. People just shout you down. They say life isn't fair whenever something bad is happening. Yet they would be so mad if they were on the receiving end of that and you were telling them that. And they think all I have to do is say life isn't fair and anything is excusable. Anything is justified. And they're just in this very basic low consciousness. This is what I call low consciousness. They're cattle. A lot of these people, they're arrested development. They're like crippled. They're not just stupid. They're crippled. Like they're damaged. Their mind has suffered from the fact that they haven't developed like other people. So I actually call them low initiates. There's like high initiates and then there's low initiates. Low initiates are basically like these deranged trolls that are basically picking fights with people. That's one thing they can do. They're putting on costumes and personas and they're starting fights with people. It's like a warrior who's like trying to self-determine by fighting you. He recognizes himself in you, and through you reflects himself. He learns his own limits by fighting you, right? Like that's what's going on in the abstract. And that's basically what you have to do when you're almost nothing. You're like not even really a person. And I recognize it's not that glorious. They're not warriors. It's kind of something similar is happening. But yeah, they're basically nothing. And whenever I realize that somebody's nothing, I don't pay attention to them anymore. Because I have people that need my attention, and my life and my computer is full of things occupying my time. There is not enough time. My life's ticking away. There's not enough time to do everything. Every day that passes, that's like, it's more unlikely that I'll be able to do a project, even write a book. That's another book that every 6 months that pass, boom, that's another book that I can't write. My potentiality is shrinking. So yeah, I don't have time for that. Like, you can go fuck yourself somewhere else.
Yeah, no truer words have been spoken. I recently turned 24, and my only thought was that was a year where I didn't get to fulfill my self-actualization by pursuing some of my projects that would give me internal fulfillment, where I got work done, but a full calendar year, at least relative to when I've been born, where I didn't do what gives me more fulfillment, since I was more preoccupied arguing with people at Discord at times or with other needless distractions. So that was a hopefully early but harsh wake-up call that I need for myself, at least in my quest to knowledge and self-fulfillment. Thank you. That you summarized it perfectly there, Dags.
Yeah, because this is what I've been struggling to understand my whole life, and basically just it's like Hermeticism, where you're studying the sciences, including psychology and everything, as a means to know yourself. And then it allows you to eventually comprehend the philosophy, which is the missing piece. It's the unchanging forms. It's what we actually are operating through. We're not computers. We're not language. We're not sex. We're not violence. We're not even animals. We're something abstract, and we think in abstracts. And that's what kind of completes everything when you've accumulated enough science. Anyway, I'm gonna stop here. But that was a great stream. That was great talking. I wanted you to come on, Liberal, because like you and some other tech guys in these circles, you have good insight. You having to write about what was it? Just
AI communism, or I write about a lot of things.
No, what did they force you? What was that stupid liberal leftist thing they forced you to write in college? You said.
Oh, about Gamergate. So here's multiple things real quick. Gamergate and women being better programmers and Christian than men naturally. Two things that you write essays about in college.
Yeah, that was harrowing to read. I literally went like, oh god, like I can't believe that. That's like such. That's all. Like, you almost can't believe that. That sounds like a fucking caricature, but yeah, I appreciate that.
Top university in the world, top 10 for computer science. It was one of those, I don't like doxing myself, but one of those top UC schools. I won't say which one, but one of the top STEM ones. Oh, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate the stream. I'm tired since I don't like talking a lot, but thank you very much for the stream. I really appreciate it.
It was a good stream, man.
Yeah, thank you, Disgraced, Liberal, Brent, and Wolf for being on, and also Anglish and Hudson, and I think that was it. I don't remember anyone else, but oh yeah, Mind Games asked me twice thoughts on the future of young men. I'll just keep it brief. Not good. That's it.
I know that my life has been wasted from the get-go. That's why I just try to just relax. I know that things are not going to get better, so I'm just trying to enjoy the ride before I die. That's why I get high.
Yep. I don't know.
I became a hippie in my mid-30s. Maybe it's because it's a midlife crisis, and I'm just some low IQ cell just trying to survive after being abandoned by most of everybody I know, and I'm just trying to restart a life for myself. I don't know. I'm trying to learn a trade down the line and do some self-improvement, but I've just been really lazy and just unable to really connect with life right now. I'd rather just rot max, to tell you the truth.
I mean, I do. I do just spend a lot of time enjoying myself. I just I goon. I watch garbage. I was watching Legend of the Galactic Heroes. That was not garbage, and I like to work on stuff because that gives me fulfillment to write something or whatever. But yeah, I'm there with you. I don't, like I said, I don't knock you for smoking weed or whatever. I might be smoking weed too if I was a wage slave, and I am grateful. Like, I've worked enough that I can sit back in my armchair and just sigh with relief and get pelted by my air conditioner and throw on some anime or some shit. Throw on some good music.
That's why I am trying not to feel so guilty for missing work today.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, while we're here, Disgraced Liberal, if you're free tomorrow morning, I might try and stream, because I do want to do another stream with you and me, and Dags, it'd be great if you were there too. And I'd probably do it just before 6's stream, and if not, I'd probably do it Monday. If you guys are available.
I might not be on, Brent, to tell you the truth, but I hope your stream works out. I wish you luck. Like I said, I only have so much I can do. There's people I can't pay attention to, even if maybe they need it. It's very strained right now. That's why I can't pay attention to retards that are like trying to fight me, even though I'm way out of their league. I don't have that luxury of. I'm constrained by scarcity.
Yep, supply and demand of time. DM me, Brent. I think I told you that I won't be available until the second half of the week. I'm going to be busy preparing for a final stage job interview where I'll be doing an hour and a half tech test that I don't know what it'll be about. So, yeah, I'm in crunch mode, college finals mode, starting tomorrow. So DM me. We could coordinate that next week. Now I'm going to hop off. Take care, everyone. Have a great night. Bye.
Take care,
Take
man.
care, everyone.
Later.
Night.
Later.